Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below the video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to John Case, DL Hill, Julian Jeremiah, Maxi Tyken, Michael Kahn, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Melby Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Sampson, Maris, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Dale West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will raise the mic on whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
And it was a scam.
Anything to get your details.
I don't even want to talk about the IRS. What's up, Tent?
Good morning.
Morning, how's it going?
Very good.
Excellent, very pleased to hear it.
Yeah, it's only the beginning of the day, so we'll see how the day gets along. I got a lot of work today.
Made a whole bunch of changes to how the show functions yesterday. So I just did a load of research and implemented a load of changes. And I just thought, in for a penny, in for a pound, I'll do it all at once. And if it causes an issue, we'll find out when it goes out. But I think I've tested it sufficiently. You know, I did a test live stream, which I made private afterwards, and did several recordings. But I've got rid of a few things. Interestingly enough, I hadn't realised there was a noise suppressor on OBS. In other words, everything was being noise suppressed. And while I'm listening back to the show, I'm like, there's something that I don't quite like about this. You know, trying to figure out what it was, and eventually I found it. And it's just a weird coincidence because Righteous Force the other day was like saying, "Oh yeah, you want to put noise suppression on?" I'm like, "Yeah, but not if you've actually got a good feed of audio. You don't want to put noise suppression on that and make it sound worse." Sure enough, everything that's going through OBS has got it applied. So as of today, it hasn't. That said, I've not had any complaints about it, so it might be the case that it actually did have a benefit. We will find out, depending on how clean this sounds now, right, this discussion. Also, I'm hoping, given I've put a bit less compression on, now I'm a bit more used to levelling everyone up on the show. I should hope so. I've done it for years now, which should mean that I hopefully don't need as much compression, which should also make it sound a bit cleaner, but also give us a bit more dynamic range. In other words, it should be clear enough when we're just talking at a normal volume or even talking quite quietly. You should be able to make it out even if I speak quieter. Or if I get very angry with a fundy, it'll just be louder. In other words, the show should have more dynamic range now, which I think is preferable.
It does.
We'll find out when it goes out. I mean, on my tests it certainly seemed to.
So is that akin to having really good sound and individual settings that you set, and then all of a sudden finding out that there's this filter on that kind of disturbs that whole process?
Not at all. It's the case of I've set it up correctly for what I was using and what I was doing a while back. Now I've made a load of alterations, physical alterations in the room, and I've gone back and addressed it after the fact, and I've now made the alterations that are more appropriate for what I'm doing. So it's just an evolution of what I'm doing, right? But those changes, until you actually implement them, you don't know. Some of them might have a detrimental effect. You just don't know. What I'm shooting for is to have a clearer sound, B, us all being closer to being the same level. That's really down to me, but because I've got used to doing it kind of second nature, I therefore don't need to apply the levels of compression I used to have to try and achieve the same thing, because I monitor it a bit more closely live, if that makes sense. So it's just me adapting to how things are done and changing things that I don't need anymore, and I've added things that I do, etc., etc.
I was addressing the OBS setting itself. So now that that noise compression OBS is off, then whatever you are doing, you're going to know the reality of it, because there's not something else that you didn't know about doing something.
Well, it's an unknown entity. I don't know how it works. So if you talk to me about how a compressor works, I've got a pretty good idea how a compressor works and how the settings operate and what they do. So I know the effect it's going to have and can implement it where it's useful. With a noise suppressor, I don't really know what it's doing. It's cutting out background noise. Well, how can it distinguish the difference between, say, a bit of sibilance when I say an S or a P or something like that, or a plosive when I overload the capsule of the mic, or a screaming kid in the background? What if you want the screaming kid? How does it know you don't need that in your audio track? So it's a bit of an unknown in terms of what it's going to actually do to the sound. And in my experience, yeah, you can have someone just show that it can get rid of the background noise of a computer fan, but every time I've had a demonstration and used it myself, it sounded audibly worse, less clear, even though you haven't got the fan anymore.
All I hear is humming.
What, right now?
Yep.
Is that because of your location, or are you trying to be cocky about how my sound is worse?
You sound great to me.
No, whenever 10th man is off his mute thing, I hear
Okay, let me see. I'm gonna go on mute.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay, well, there are certain things I can't control. Whatever signal goes into your mic at your end, obviously I've got no control over that. Same goes for people overloading their mics, talking too loud into their mics, having their mics set too high, the gain too high. I can't do anything about those things.
Yeah, until I get back into my office and my Yeti, this will do.
Yeah, it sounds fine, but
It's
when
not
you
that
just
bad.
stay off mute, all I hear is humming. Thanks to Nathan bringing it up.
Sure, but little things like that I just accept now. I mean, there is a line to be drawn, but by the same token, I could have drawn the line a lot sooner and just go, who cares? But without mentioning any names of other streamers who cover the similar subject that we do, then I've heard audio streams that are absolutely horrendous, and I've turned them off because they've drawn that line too soon, and everyone's completely out of whack volume-wise, and you're constantly up and down and turning up and down whatever you're listening to it on, because you're suddenly blasted out by one guest and you can't hear a single thing the next one says, but they're all reacting to it, and it's obviously a good part of the conversation that you need to pay attention to, but you've got to go and turn your volume right back up again, and things like that are irritating enough for people to tune out. So although I can't achieve perfection unless I went round to you all and acoustically treated every room for every guest and bought you all a really nice mic and taught you a bit of mic discipline and showed you how to set your gain staging and set your compression levels and noise suppression, and I did that with every single person, that's obviously impossible. That's the only way to achieve perfection, but I can attempt, at least be conscious of the fact that, I need to up the standard to a degree where people don't even care. That's what I'm getting. In other words, you can only get this wrong. You can't. No one's going to ever say, "Oh wow, you sound so crisp today, Nathan." No one's ever going to do that. They're just going to say, "God, it was really irritating when every time that guy spoke, I could hear this like buzzing noise," and they just describe what clipping is because someone's got their mic up too high, And you go, "Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that. Even if I went back after the fact and did post-processing to the show, I couldn't resolve that." And mitigating it is just kind of keeping their volume to a reasonable level, even though they're clipping to all hell, so that when someone listens back to it, at least they're at a similar volume level, and it's just perceived as, oh, well, they've got a crap mic, but at least they're at the same volume.
That doesn't sound like a bad idea, coming to everybody's house and fixing their sound. It's doable.
I did have a stage where I did that. My wife used to distribute headphones, so we ended up with a load of overstock of old headphones, as you do, and then eventually she stopped doing that. But we still ended up with all these old headphones, and a lot of them were useful for people who were doing streaming. They had mics on them, and there were some of them with 2 jacks, some of them with the 3 bands on the 3.5mm, some for the iPads, Apple versions with the Apple mics, all sorts of different headphones, so suitable for all. And at one stage I was just giving them away to guests, literally, while I was doing Flat Earth UK, and someone was like, "Oh, my mic sounds terrible." I was like, "Give me your address, I'll send you a set of headphones, and then you won't be terrible for when we do the interview." And I did that several times. But it's you're fighting a losing battle when you've got an open panel on Discord. It's just you get what you're given, right? And you're thankful that people join as a guest.
Some things you gotta just deal with, I guess, with sound, right?
Well, yeah, but the bigger problem is this is where I will start if I'm not careful having a go at my own panel, who I'm very, very grateful to. It's when you can't shut your mouths, when somebody's trying to say something and you hear something irritating or you disagree with, and you immediately want to jump over them. Now, I've just edited a video and it started off at something like 20 minutes and ended up being about 14, maybe less. And all I hacked out of that video was you, Neil, and Eli talking. Well, it's just, yeah, number one, it's much more work for me to edit all that out. And number two, the point that the opponent's trying to make concisely, you're stopping him. Either way, it doesn't matter if they're fundy muting me or... When somebody's in the middle of something, you deciding that you're just going to do what you've just done, essentially is something that's then got to get hacked out of the recording. Now, if you listen to that recording that I'll release in the next couple of days, I don't know what I'm going to call it, although I have made a thumbnail and given it a title, I just can't remember what it is. It's about the contradiction in terms between Neil deGrasse Tyson and Blue Marble Science, right? Well, when you listen to that video, you'll notice that there are certain parts of it where I've left on screen all of you guys in G+, and you can see your mics flashing and flashing and flashing and flashing while the guy's talking. Now, I've just obviously muted your line, so it's not going to interrupt the point that the guest's trying to make. But we'll never get to hear those points if you and Eli can't shut up. And it's more you and Eli than anybody, I've got to be honest. Arwin sometimes does it.
I'll be more mindful.
Chocolate sometimes does it, but he quickly picks up that he's interrupting and stops. So does Arwin, as much as I'll criticise them for it. But you won't. Eli, when I was editing it, it's just like literally going, but what about, about 15 times, because he wants to get his words in. It's like, essentially, while that's happening, nothing's coherent anymore. So because you want to talk, nothing anybody says is going to be coherent while you repeat the start of your sentence 15 times. And it's, got to say it, because not just because it takes me an extra hour to edit it, but also because if the point the opponent's not trying to make doesn't get made, it's reasonable for our opponents to call foul on that. And I'll just have to take the hit and go, yeah, it is unreasonable. We won't let our opponents make their point.
I will be more mindful.
It's Eli more than anybody. He's not even here.
But a lot of times,
in his defense, he comes from 24/7. He's there all the time, and he's got to deal with these guys. He's like in the trenches. So I mean, I know you know that, but
if he was here now, I'd be apologising for me stating this. I want him, Eli, although he's not here, to be aware of it. But I also don't want him to feel like he's done something wrong or I'm telling him off or, not at all. That is the way it is. And you definitely don't need to explain that to me. Yeah, I know he spends a long time without somebody like me who can try and retain some sort of control over it. And you've just got to go, no, I am going to be getting my words in here. And unless you all shut up, you're not going to get to... That is the tact you've got to take in 24/7 sometimes. I get it. You're here early, Adam?
You say it's gated, right? So like when somebody speaks, somebody else could be speaking. And a lot of times I do stop. I don't just continually blabber on unless I'm being a scutch deliberately.
Okay. We all do it. Let's not pretend that we don't. We all do it. It's just one of those things, Neil, that I want you to be conscious of it. Don't feel like you've done something wrong or you're getting told off. But by the same token, stop doing it. You're doing something wrong. Naughty.
What's up, Adam?
Afternoon. Just I have to mute the dog, so it's fine. I don't know the dog keeps barking, but they're all good, guys.
Mute the dog.
Squirrels.
Dogs or squirrels? What's going on here?
You can mute the dog. Just give him a Xanax.
Give him a Xanax.
Yeah, it'll mute the dog.
Just drug my dog.
Look, there'll be no muting of dogs. Okay, we're all good. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by the Adam Meakin, 10th Man, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Hey guys.
How are you? How are you?
How you doing, huh?
How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
It's a Rocky Balboa Joey mix in the house.
Yeah, it's probably nearer Joey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good one. I didn't think of that. How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing, huh?
How you doing for Earth Curve, Physical Geometric Sphere Edge Horizons?
There is none.
Doing very
Can't
bad.
find it.
Can't find it. Where would you look for it? Behind the fridge?
Up in the sky.
Yeah, they look for it at the horizon. It's just the horizon's not Earth Curve anymore. That's what I was driving at.
So what is the horizon?
The horizon is the apparent position where the sky meets the land or sea.
And what causes it? Is that the end of our vision?
There's a whole
It's your
bunch.
eyes that cause it.
Well, there's a whole multitude of things that can cause the horizon's apparent location, including the limitations of the optics you're viewing it through, the weather conditions on the day, etc., etc. There's loads of things that can cause that apparent location. The point is that that apparent location is not a physical geometric sphere edge formerly known as Earth Curve.
Ooh. Nathan, Riley's on one. He's up to something. I don't know if he's asked you, but if anybody in chat or anywhere knows the aperture size of a P1000, be appreciated if anyone could post that.
It's 16, isn't it?
No idea. No,
I've got
not-
no idea. No, I just made up a number.
I was almost convinced. You said it was something.
What about axial rotation? It's going to be a plug for a video that comes out maybe today or tomorrow in this regard. But any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Wouldn't John say you need a radius for that?
Yeah, you definitely need a radius to claim axial rotation.
Yeah, not without a radius, they cannot.
Hello.
Hey, Arwin. It's real refreshing getting that as a reply. I've got to be honest. I hadn't actually bared that in mind when I made today's video that's going to get plugged now, because literally that reply renders the entire video that I've just made pointless. Both positions in the contradiction that's going to get summarised in the video I release later are negated by the fact that you'd need R for both claims, and they haven't got it anymore. So the contradiction's kind of moot. It's interesting to see that in the face of the demolition of a claim that we spin, we still have fundamentalist globe believers and anti-flat earthers who claim to be globe believers fighting amongst each other about whether or not Earth tracks with an atmosphere or whether or not Earth turns beneath the atmosphere to cause drift at 15 degrees an hour. Meanwhile, you need R. As I say, I wish I'd dropped that into the end of the video, but there we go.
But the rate of tracking is proportional to the R, isn't it? Everything requires their R, otherwise you wouldn't know. Without the R, you don't know the rate at which if there is any differential for a lockstepness, but that lockstep will be based on R.
Yeah, precisely. Let's do a little role play, Adam, as you were the one who pointed it out as well. So I'm going to be a globe believer, right? Now, don't address my description within the begging the question fallacy or my claim. Just give just the response that we've just discussed a moment ago. Play along if you would. So Earth turns underneath a football at 15 degrees an hour. From the stands at a football game, you'll see it curve through the goal because Earth turned beneath, with Coriolis deflection being observed to sway the game. Adam, what would you say to that?
As a flat earther, well, if that's the case, then
Yeah, you'll need a radius for that.
If the Earth did move underneath to allow the goals to move, then what was happening with the blimp up in the air, or what happened on the flight over?
Right, Adam's going to get silenced. Who was it from Discord who gave me exactly what I wanted?
All right.
Yeah, I did.
George, go ahead, do it again. Earth turned beneath a football, there was drift, Coriolis effect, 15 degrees. Earth turned underneath the football. I'm a globe believer claiming we've got Coriolis drift. What say you, George?
You're going to need a radius for that. It's been debunked by the Black Swan, no?
Perfect. Right, now let's try that same exact example, but with Blue Marble Science's example. Why would you expect to see Earth turning under a hot air balloon? Earth and atmosphere track as one. What's the response to that, George?
You still need a radius for that.
Exactly. Right? So, should we spend a good portion of time, like I have, editing videos and moaning about the interruptions from my own panel? Sorry, guys. Or should we just say, where's your R value for that? Which is quicker? I can tell you for nothing. It's an R requirement that's quicker. That's what's quicker. Rather than saying, no, shouldn't you as a globe believer be claiming that Earth turns underneath the atmosphere to cause 15 degrees an hour drift? You're saying they turn together with an assumption you're not proving with any demonstrable evidence. But you need R for both, so who cares? You haven't got it.
Absolutely.
Could get that to the answer to all of these. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
You need R, aren't you? You're going to need R as a small part of your AU.
That's correct. Well redeemed, Adam.
Just like Alzheimer's moment there, Nate. Totally forgot what you was asking me. Went off on a sideways tangent. It was a straight line there, that tangent.
I was too complicated in what I was requesting. I was trying not to give away the pantomime that we were going to undergo. I should have just said, just tell me you haven't got R in response to this next question, Adam. Let's try it again. Just tell me where I've got R in response to this next statement. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Yeah, that molten iron core would need R to define it. But no, you haven't got R. I couldn't do it, could I?
Yeah, it's perfect. What are you talking about? Don't demean yourself. That was excellent. Couldn't have asked for more. You need R for that, fundies. I'm in a good mood today.
It's going to be proportional, isn't it? It'll be a proportional. The size of your molten iron core will be proportionate to the R. It'll be a certain percentage of the R. They have defined, a bit like with all celestial bodies, they've defined the ratios, haven't they? How much crust, how much mantle, etc. is there. They've just not actually quantified it in reality. Or measured it, or seen it. But it could be expressed as a fraction of R.
You're going to need R, though.
Model,
Definitely going to need R, then.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can have the same answer to this one, too. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Yeah, you need that for that as well. Center of mass?
Correct. This is going really well. What about, I don't think you can answer our value for this one, but we'll see. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Yeah, correct. You also need
R.
R in order to establish distances and everything else.
If you were going to establish some scientific experiment, if you were able to get there, then R would be fundamental in a lot of your calculation. It would be a fundamental unit that you would have actually obtained in reality for you to then take into your experimentation in those fields. It would be like I say, fundamentally, it's a construct of the atomic, the astronomical unit. So it would have to be defined for you to move forward. You'd need it to start anything.
I'll grant you that one with astronomy, right? Yes, because of the astronomical unit, you're going to need R. But what about the other two?
Don't you need R for orbits?
Cosmology? Is cosmology fundamentally premised on the notion we have orbits? Nobody's saying yes or no. Go on.
What's an orbit?
To begging the question fallacy, I'm just saying we're trying to establish if, when asked if any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics have a valid hypothesis to offer, could we just respond to that by saying you need R for that? Well, the astronomical unit, you can apply that with only one, the Kevin Bacon game, there's only one step, right? But the rest of them, I don't think, you're going to have to wait for them to actually make an assertion or provide a quasi-hypothesis for you to say, hang on a second, you're begging the question, hypothesis has got an R value in it. But at just the stage of asking if they've got any hypotheses to offer, I don't think it's fair to say we can challenge that or refute it just by saying, well, they haven't got an R anymore.
I think you could, because
I think we do, Nathan, because they are assuming that we ourselves are standing on a planet.
Yeah, but they haven't.
And you're going to need R. You're going to need R in order to be on the planet.
I agree. That was Adam's point, and I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm saying that just in isolation, when we ask this question as a housekeeping question, you can't say it's reasonable to answer by saying they haven't got R, therefore they're not going to come up with a valid hypothesis. It's non sequitur. It doesn't make any sense. Now you can say, well, by implication, if you're an astrophysicist, any of the examples you make are going to require R. Therefore, we can respond to the fact that an astrophysicist would imply R when making any claims. A justification for saying, we just need to say, well, we haven't got R when asked if they have any valid hypotheses. It's non sequitur. It doesn't make any sense. That's my point. I'm not saying you're wrong or Adam. You're both right. They do need to assume R.
If they assume planets as spheres, they're going to need R.
Yeah, but they've got to do something subsequently to my question about whether or not they've got a valid hypothesis. Let's just move on. One of the housekeeping questions, we'll have to accept that you can't just answer it, you'll need R for that. This question can't have that reply, okay? That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, you can't have it as a blanket response, but the likelihood is, as soon as they do specify it will involve R.
Correct.
I could apply it.
Absolutely correct. But as a blanket statement, if I say any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety, as a blanket response to close that subject entirely, you can reply, you're gonna need R for that. If I ask for scientific evidence of gravity, you can reply, you will require R for that. And if you ask for evidence of physical geometric sphere-edge horizons, you can say, with absolute certitude, that you will require R for that. Distance to the sun, you're definitely going to need R for that. You know what I mean? When it comes to a valid hypothesis from one of those disciplines, you can't just say you're going to need R for that. It makes no sense.
But once you've got the hypothesis from them, you're going to need R.
You're going to need R, right, exactly.
That's what I was going to say, yeah, correct.
They've got to do something first before we can apply that statement. I mean, they're going to fall into a requirement of R immediately, obviously, but at the housekeeping stage, we can't just say, oh, you're going to need R for that. But there we go. That's Celebi. We can't have the same response to every single question in every single instance.
They'd be out of business because they can never make a hypothesis.
Yeah, they need mathematics to apply to scientific vernacular. That's right. Measuring hypothesis, a contradiction in terms, but yeah. A couple of days ago, a guy was on here asking us about where the Cavendish experiment would have been valid and asking us to justify how some of the effects might occur through electromagnetic effects. And as a result, he got a detailed explanation of what you need to understand in terms of scientific vernacular to get around that problem and logically process where the next question to your opponent should come from. And understanding that natural phenomena is required, that would be your dependent variable, the studied effect that you're hoping to figure out the cause of. That's step one in the method, figuring out what is actually the thing you want to study. What causes that to happen? Well, for you to say that statement for step one of the method, you need something to be happening. And when you witness it happening in nature, you can say, I wonder what causes it, and then go on to suppose a cause. That's your independent variable. So that's already given you the full hypothesis. With the exception of the null, you've got your presumed cause of the effect. That's what an alternative hypothesis is. That's what you do. Assume a cause of an effect. And then you have a null, which says, if my presumed cause, I won't get the effect. And then you do an experiment. And that is science. You either validate your presumed cause when you do your experiment, or you don't. One of those two things will be validated. It does cause the effect, or it does not cause the effect. One of those two statements will prove to be true. Now, if you understand all of that implicitly, and someone comes along and starts talking about Cavendish, you'll appreciate that the first step is to observe a phenomena in nature. What's happening? What causes that? Not what's happening in my man-made device that I'm going to call it an experiment and then ask you to justify what happens within that man-made apparatus. An actual effect in nature. So when it comes to gravity, and back on to 10th man's point, which is what led me into that little diatribe, is that they want to maths it. They want to measure it. Well, with the exception of measuring the effect on the dependent variable when you vary the independent variable, that's the only thing you measure. And it's a qualitative measurement. Does it happen or doesn't it? Not how much of it is going to happen, but they want to maths a hypothesis. And the two things are very distinctly different. 10th.
They're still out of work.
Say again?
They're still out of work because their whole job title, what is their job title? These people that you're mentioning in this discipline. What are they supposed to show us?
Astrophysicists?
Yeah, astrophysicists. Okay, so what are they pre-assumption? Because they all have a pre-assumption. Yeah, so they're out of work.
And the physical nature of the heavenly bodies.
Physicality of the astros?
Say again, George.
Astrophysicists, they implying the physicality of the lights in the sky?
Yeah, they have physical assumption biases when they describe the physical lights in the sky, often in violation of natural law.
The thing that I think it's hard for some people to understand is no matter which field of science they bring up, if they're not using their scientific method, they're not doing science.
Right. Here we deal with the physical and natural world, so the specific genre of science is limited to natural science. We're dealing with our world. That's all I'm interested in. What is the world that we're living in? We've been told it's a sphere in a vacuum. Now I understand implicitly that that's a violation of natural law and a physical impossibility. So we're not on a sphere, we're not spinning, we're not flying through a vacuum. So what is the world? Well, which category of science should I look to find this out? Well, which one deals with the physical and natural world? Well, science itself deals with the physical and natural world. Physics. Essentially all the sciences that deal in experimentation are under that category because they're all dealing in the physical world. Not the abstract world of maths and pseudo-4 space and bending space-time. None of those things are physical reality. None of those things are phenomena you can experience. Hence, when it comes to experimentation that's being claimed by our lying pretender clown Muppets on the globe-believing side of this argument, they will assert that they've got hypotheses, they will assert they've got experimentation, they will say we are, flat earthers are, science deniers. And we simply are not. They just don't have any actual science to declare, and they pretend that they do.
Right, but if you want to know what the atmospheric pressure of Jupiter is, then you can absolutely ask an astrophysicist. They will know.
Atmosphere is an oxymoron.
So
I
what
can't
is
see
the
megapixels, yeah?
atmospheric pressure on Jupiter?
Okay, that's not going anywhere, clearly. Let's discuss the contradiction in terms, even though we've, in housekeeping, said that this is kind of moot, and it is, because they haven't got R. However, previously, when we have pointed out the contradiction in terms that is the assertion of Coriolis-based globe deflection, we have the claim that the globe makes pinned to us, and then defended by the anti-flat earther as being stupid. In other words, we summarise the position the globe makes, and they say, don't be stupid, flat earther, that's not the position the globe makes. And they detail something completely different. Conservation of momentum, to be more precise. Well, we're now in a position where, because we all have a good grip on what is claimed, what is used to defend the claim when it's proven incorrect, we now have an easy way to summarise that contradiction. And it just happens to, you throw all the balls in the air and whoever it lands on at the end is just unfortunate enough you're it. And in this case, it's blue marble science. He's addressed us concisely summarising when, I think it was a cum virus came on and had an explanation for how you look at a hot air balloon from a rotating roundabout and it drifts because you're rotating beneath it. It doesn't actually drift, it just looks like it does because you're rotating beneath it. And that's the effect the globes claim to have, Coriolis deflection. And it does not. Well, in rebuttal to that, you've got blue marble science saying, you idiot, flat earther, why would you expect, I don't, by the way, why would you expect Earth to turn under a hot air balloon? Well, number one, we don't, it's not our claim. You claim it as the globe. But now we can summarise that in contradiction and say, Neil deGrasse Tyson, a globe believer, make it clear it's not your claim, says Earth turned beneath a football. It's also simultaneously claimed the same respect of drift with snipers' bullets. It's claimed that Earth turns beneath them. They deflect because Earth turns beneath them. That's the claim. That's the globe claim. Well, when you have a also claimed to be globe believer telling you that hot air balloons don't drift at 15 degrees an hour, as claimed by the globe, because Earth and atmosphere are assumed to spin together even though gas is unbonded. Well, then you have two contrasting positions, neither of which have been made by me or asserted by me. One has been asserted by Neil deGrasse Tyson and one has been asserted by Blue Marble Science. And they are in polar opposition of one another. And when that was put to a funder yesterday, he said, yes, I understand how these two positions are contradictory and you have summarised them correctly. However, I'm not going to detail which one's wrong. Just no, was his response. That's it.
He's
That's me
keeping it a
summarising it so you
secret.
can talk about it. Go ahead, whoever.
Yeah, they got a problem because they need Earth-based Coriolis to be observed by people when they go up in a helicopter, airplane, hot air balloon, whatever. But it's not. Because it's not, and they still have to hang on to their presupposed Earth spinning model, they have to come in with another layer of BS, which is conservation of momentum. So then no drift. So the thing you want to establish, you can never establish when you say conservation of momentum. So how do you know we're drifting in the first place? It dies on the spot.
Because they can calculate how much drift there should be.
Well, should be and is are two different things. Just like in the sextant, when they say, go to the center of the Earth for the measurement, they even say that's theoretical because they've never done it. It can't be done. No one's saying that that's real. They're just saying that's theoretical because we pre-assume the Earth to be a sphere. So theoretically, we can go to the center, but we're not really going there. And then they say light's coming in parallel, which it's not. So again, two sides of the argument, they die there as well. Just the globe side is just like a liar being caught on film doing something and then coming up with an excuse why it's not him.
They also say that they can calculate for this apparent deviation. Nothing is happening, but they still want to calculate that in newtons. Goodness me.
So yeah, the bit I wanted to focus on.
Good morning, guys.
Morning,
Good morning,
Chocolate.
Choco. It's easy to prove it. Take a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA. It should be shorter because the Earth's coming at you.
Whoa. Wait, did we decide if it, or did they decide if it's drift or no drift?
That's kind of what I'm pointing out, Chocolate. When it comes to
that out yet.
Well, exactly, and I want it to be the case that it's highlighted that this isn't our claim. We don't want another "you and your reference frames have been ruined" kind of statement from Simon Dan, mistaking that I'm actually making a claim that Earth should turn beneath stuff when I'm a flat earther and understand implicitly that we're stationary. So for him to say that my reference frames needed to claim Earth turns beneath stuff are ruined is just merely him not recognising that it's actually Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim that Earth turns beneath a football that's ruined by us pointing out that that doesn't happen. So from now on, I want people to highlight the two different contrasting positions and make it clear. Here's the globe believer, Neil deGrasse Tyson, saying Earth turns beneath a football. And here's the globe believer, Blue Marble Science, saying Earth doesn't turn beneath a football. Now go at it and explain the problem, because none of these are my claims.
I think it's worse than that, Nathan. I think because we understand their position better than they do, and we cite it, it sounds so silly to them that they say, that's your claim. And we say, no, this is your claim. I'm just telling you what you guys are saying. That's how silly it sounds when they hear us regurgitate their position correctly.
I think you're right, then.
Yeah, Simon Dan
say,
should
well,
be
no,
another
I don't
one.
believe that crazy stuff.
Because it
That's
says
your
you
claim.
and your reference frames are ruined. It should sit in with Neil deGrasse as well.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson's reference frames are ruined, Dan. Not my claim.
Exactly. I think Kent has got a point. When they hear it said back to them, it sounds so retarded that they think it's our claim.
You mean when they hear that it's claimed Earth turns beneath things to see them drift away at 15 degrees an hour, as claimed by Neil deGrasse Tyson with a football, or a sniper when they shoot a gun and claim they have to track the target because Earth turns underneath with Coriolis deflection and you've got to track the target, or the goal will be scored because you appear to have a curving ball go through the goal because Earth's turning beneath it. That would mean that you launch a drone on the equator and Earth turned beneath it to the tune of 1,000 miles an hour and you'd notice that. Now, when we point out that you don't have Earth turning beneath a hot air balloon, like it's claimed to turn underneath a bullet and a football, They then simultaneously, this is blue marble science, tell us, no, Earth and atmosphere are velcroed together. The unbonded gas that's not even bonded to itself, it's free to move in all directions, is actually velcroed to an Earth I assume turns. Therefore, there's no effect to see. And therefore, Neil deGrasse Tyson saying Earth will turn underneath the football's wrong. Well, who's right? Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that Earth turns under a football, which would mean drones adrift away 1,000 miles an hour on the equator, or Blue Marble Science's claim that Earth and atmosphere are assumed to travel together, even though gas is unbonded, and it would give you no effect to observe. Who's right? Again, I'm not making either of these claims, am I now, idiots on the globe side? You are, and they just contradict each other.
Yeah, but even when you say, look, because I had one time, when I told them that the continent would come to us, they said, you know how ridiculous that sounds. I said, I agree.
You know how ridiculous that sounds. That's funny. But that's what you believe. That's what you think is happening. Except when you don't think it's happening. You know why you're so confused? Because it's not happening, but your globe side tells you it's happening. So there's a break right there in your mental function. Right?
No, but
You're
then
just
they
like,
said... No, but then they said, when I said that, then they said they never made that claim.
Who is they never made that? Who was the
Well,
they that never made the claim?
in other words, the heliocentric model. Kumo
Oh, really?
virus says it all the time. We never made that claim.
And that's when you pull up Mr. deGrasse Tyson and you play it for him real quick. That's it. Look, this is one of your high priests of this religion.
Well,
and he's making the claim.
Why do snipers have to adjust for something that doesn't happen?
They don't.
Better go talk to those snipers because they believe apparently in something ridiculous like the continent would come to them because apparently it's rotating underneath things in there. That's a damn shame.
Nah, ballers
Snipers
want
would
their
have
Earth
to
rotation,
aim
but they
to
don't want
A
the
and hit B.
If you watch any kind of sport that involves a ball, whether American football or soccer, European football,
You're gonna start me.
when the kick is made from a soccer to a soccer ball, and he puts the curvature on it, or if an American football quarterback has a route that the receiver runs and he knows exactly what that route is, and they practice it all the time, he's throwing the ball to an open field because he knows the receiver will be there. Now that's the same thing. The receiver is earth turning. The sniper is throwing the ball at this open target because when the earth gets there, it's going to hit the target. Is that what's happening, ballers?
That's a good one, Ken.
So are you claiming that Beckham never bent it? He just put it in a different reference frame.
I love it. Yes.
Explaining that the guy is not running, is just loose in the air, and he'll reach there to the empty space.
Beckham, just like Hurricane Kosho, hit a straight ball and the earth met it.
Hurricane Kosho.
It was a straight ball, and then the goal came there at him.
Hurricane Kosho.
I agree, man. We're all the sports guys on this, man. We're the bookies on this. What's going on? I don't understand. How are we not betting on the earth turn? That's supposed to be happening all the time, right? If Smoking the Grass could sit in his house or watch a football game and make a quick calculation. How are the bookies not doing this? I don't understand.
Chocolate, the best one is when you go golfing. If anyone on the panel or in the audience has golfed, most golfers have a slice. They come across the ball, so they put the spin on it. So that's most golfers have a slice, okay? And so I remember one time, and that's me too, I have a slice. I mean, I could barely draw the ball, but I could slice it all the time. So the guy goes, man, that's a wicked slice. And I said, no, I hit it straight, the earth turned.
Yeah, there you go.
Now we
Imagine
say
the
you got
Olympic
bad
jump.
English on that.
Imagine the Olympic jump, the track to be positioned from you're jumping from west to east. Imagine that.
Yeah, the high jump, right? What, how are they calculating the high jump real quick?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's damn shame. Maybe that's when they don't calculate it right. That's when they hit the pole.
No, that's when the Earth doesn't rotate.
Oh yeah, because that happens sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's like the guy who jumped blindfolded, and he missed the track.
So what these guys are describing is the actual globe rhetoric, which is to say that Earth turns beneath things that aren't attached. And your high jump, your drone, your hot air balloon, your flight, all of these things would be severely affected if Earth turned beneath. And they're not. Now, as a consequence, we have to have the rebuttal to that, right? We point out Earth's not turning beneath stuff. Globe claims Earth turns beneath stuff. It is that simple. Well, you've got to defend that somehow if you're an anti-flat earther and you need to rebut that in some way, shape or form. So the response is, I assume Earth's turning. I assume Earth travels with that turning, atmosphere travels with that turning Earth. And as a consequence, things go up into the Earth and atmosphere that move together, and you don't see anything happen. It's absolutely no different to if nothing was happening and we were all stationary. The effect of Earth turning and the effect of us being stationary are essentially the same. You wouldn't notice any difference. You're like,
That's literally what they're telling us.
Yeah, but that's in contravention of the claim that Earth turns beneath stuff to give you Coriolis deflection at 15 degrees an hour. That's what anti-flat earthers are fighting against. But because they reposition the argument like suddenly the flat earthers claiming Earth should turn underneath stuff, they fight against the flat earthers' claim that we should turn beneath. No, we're not claiming that. The globe claims that. It doesn't happen. We point out it doesn't happen, and you turn it into, so you're saying Earth should turn underneath, are you, flat earther? No, I'm not saying that. At all. You are, it just doesn't happen.
It's funny that those claims only seem to come from those that decide to delve themselves into this argument and actually have debates. Like the guys the priests don't have to debate this, right? They choose not to. They don't have to. So they can clearly just stick to their rhetoric and just spew it all day, right? But the guys that interject themselves into this, all of a sudden they've got to take that story they're so that they hold so dear and close to their heart, and they've got to remix it now and try to pass it off as something else.
Yep.
Right?
They're going to redefine their terms. Suddenly it's no longer Coriolis effect that the globe claims, and they'll literally have your job if you don't appreciate that conservation of angular momentum is actually Coriolis effect.
It's like there's that break where they know it's not happening. There's no way that you can actually prove that it's happening, but they've got to tell you it's happening while it's not happening. Because they have to. They have no choice. They have to say it's happening because they can't now just say it's not happening. They have to turn it on us and ask us, why would we expect it to happen? Even though their own side that they get the story from tells them it's happening. It's a really serious, like, mental game that these guys have to get over, man. It's crazy.
I was just trying a bit of that.
Get over it. They're just getting started.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the athletics bit.
Yes, please.
So if I'm doing the long jump on the equator and the track's lined up from south to north, and I run, I do my long jump, and I go about 20 mile an hour, and I get 2 meters or whatever. In their world, when I take off, I'm going 20 mile an hour north, south to north, and east to west, I'm also going 1,000 mile an hour.
That's ridiculous.
Well, that's the sum of their claim. I retain that momentum east to west and experience just the north to south. And when I land at 1,000 miles an hour east to west and virtually zero north to south to north, I don't notice that. I just eat.
Yeah,
if you listen to all of this, listen how silly it really sounds.
Well, it is silly, but it needs to be repositioned if you're a globe defender, anti-flat earther, because suddenly it needs to be positioned that we don't understand that Earth doesn't turn underneath things and we wouldn't expect to see that effect. Now listen to a long-winded explanation about how Earth conserves the momentum or the trajectory of the path of the thing you're supposed to be observing apparent drift in conserves the momentum of the Earth that's supposed to be turning beneath it, but now isn't in my example. Yeah? And if you don't get that, I'll have your job.
Does that even mean conserve the momentum?
Yeah,
let me break it down. Hold on, let me break it down. What they're saying is, Neil, that by comparison, if you have a drone on a roundabout and you launch the drone off the roundabout, instead of the roundabout continuing to turn underneath the drone as it hovers above a spinning roundabout, they're saying that what will actually happen is the drone will lift off the roundabout and continue to hover above the part of the roundabout it left, tracking with the roundabout after it's parted company with it. Now, that is not going to give you a Coriolis effect, it is not what the globe claims, and is not a possibility, because as soon as you leave the rotating platform, it's not rotating you anymore. But they're saying that the drone tracks with the roundabout now. Why would you expect to see a hot air balloon drift away at 15 degrees an hour as per the globe claim, says Blue Marble Science? The atmosphere moves with the Earth. So there's no effect to see, no Coriolis drift observable, flying in the face of the globe claim.
When they come out, we just gotta say, so drift or no drift?
Precisely what I put on the thumbnail for today's show. So if you'll beg my indulgence, or however you phrase it, this is today's thumbnail for the live show, if you've tuned in before I've posted it as the live thumbnail. So you have no drift slapped or tattooed on Blue Marble's forehead, and drift tattooed on Neil deGrasse Tyson's head, because he says you'll see drift in a football as Earth turns beneath, and he says you won't see drift in a hot air balloon. They move together. They are in complete opposition of each other in terms of this claim that's supposed to prove we spin. This dude's claim is that there's nothing to see. You wouldn't see it drift away. It's travelling with the air and atmosphere at the same time. Nothing to see here. This guy says, oh yeah, you'll definitely see 15 degrees an hour drift under a football. So there's a big problem between your position and your position, Mr. Tyson and Mr. Marbles.
Seems like
imagine this was a £1 million question, yeah, on the competition, yeah, and you have this is your last question. Which one do you listen to? Which one will be your answer?
Well, when it was put to whoever that guy is yesterday, headmaster you call him, I don't know what his actual name is, but the answer was no. It's like, which position is correct? Earth won't turn underneath a football or hot air balloon, or Earth will turn underneath a football or hot air balloon. Because they're very different positions that you're putting to us. And the answer that we get from a fundy that's here to defend that and say we just don't understand the positions is no. No, I'm not going to tell you which position's correct. Presumably because they understand implicitly that they're in stark contrast to one another.
But what kind of an argument do you have if you don't even want to clarify it?
A losing one.
I mean, wasn't that perfect though? Like he came in, like we said, he kind of tried to just take one side because he tried to use wind as an example of, oh well, that proves that the Earth it's maintaining with the Earth. It proves the direction of Earth, which I don't understand because wind moves in every freaking direction. I didn't know the Earth moves in every freaking direction. But anyway, besides that, he decides then when that contradiction is pointed out, and to explain his point, no. The answer was simply no.
Yeah, because I've forced him into a position where he has to either defend Blue Marble Science's position that Earth and atmosphere travel together, or defend Neil deGrasse Tyson's position that you'll see Coriolis effect as Earth turns beneath a football, or a hot air balloon, or a bullet, or a drone. Now, you can't fight for both positions at the same time, and we're asking which position's wrong, because he's saying our understanding of these positions are wrong. What's the response? No. Because he knows damn well that it's no longer attacking me, seeming to claim Earth should turn underneath, something I'd never claim. They just need to reposition it as my claim, so then they can fight against the flat earthers' claim that Earth should turn underneath with Coriolis deflection. Because then it seems to make sense, right? The flat earther claims we have drift. No, we don't. But we don't have that drift, and you need to argue against that because we're pointing that out. So it's much easier to make it my claim, right? Simon Dan, you and your reference frames are ruined, right, Simon Dan? Much easier to make it my claim that doesn't happen, so you can defend how it doesn't happen. But it's not my claim that isn't happening, it's the globe claim that isn't happening. Earth isn't turning beneath anything. So now you need to tell me how my reference frames are ruined? No. Now you need to tell NDT how his reference frames are ruined, Dan. Because they weren't mine to begin with.
Yeah, we're revealing your true enemies, man. The true enemies that you have is yourselves. Right? You guys gotta fight each other. Like I said yesterday, you guys gotta work this out and then come see us. Work out if we actually have this apparent drift or we don't actually have this apparent drift. Because we don't claim any of that shit.
Well,
They gotta make up their mind.
Dan.
haven't they though? Because I think that they still have this rumor going around, like some things deviate, other things don't, and they just don't really pin it all down permanently. Like one baller will think, no, these things will deviate too, but these won't. And another baller will say, no, wait, those things do deviate and these things don't. So
Well, that's what Chocolate's saying, isn't it? They need to get together, do some housekeeping, and figure out what they're saying.
Yeah,
what their claims
exactly.
Right.
Work it out.
Yeah, fundies, work out what you're actually claiming, because we obviously understand what you're claiming. Even when you're claiming two things simultaneously, we can summarise them. Neil deGrasse Tyson says Earth turns under a football. Blue Marble Science says Earth doesn't turn under a football. Yeah, we can summarise those positions, but you really need to work this out amongst yourselves. Godzilla37, I'm sorry about not shouting your super chat out yesterday. Ballers, having no R, does have one advantage. I can call them E-tarded without being blocked. Thank you very much, Godzilla.
Well, at one time they tried to come up with reverse housekeeping questions, and they sounded ridiculous.
I mean, if someone was nice enough with editing, right? You could edit Neil deGrasse Smoking the Grass talking about how, you know, the football actually drifts, and then just take one of the anti-flat earthers and edit it so that they look like they're debating each other. You could actually do that because the positions are so opposite that it's ridiculous. And they're on the same side. It's like, what the hell?
That's a good idea, Chocolate.
Shout out to Matthew Hall. He says, flat is fact. I've got 5 on it. Lol. I love how they squirm when you know their theory/belief better than them and trash them with it, Nathan. And then thumb, heart, thumb. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, Matthew Hall, and the sentiment. I really appreciate it. So, let's summarise this as we're right in the end of it and we've hashed it out quite a bit. If you're going to argue Coriolis effect, number one, above everything else discussed, all of this hyperbole, they haven't got an R value and they require it to assert we're turning. So that should be your first line of defence in every single instance. You're going to need an R value for that. However, if you do get into the wrangle-dangle of discussing about Coriolis deflection, proof that we spin in their claim, well, you can point out that Earth is claimed to turn underneath in the actual globe rhetoric. It's called Coriolis deflection, an effect that can only be induced if you are turning beneath things. It's an observation made from a non-inertial spinning reference frame of things seeming to drift in an inertial reference frame as you turn beneath them. That is Coriolis effect, and it is claimed to be in effect on an Earth that spins. Therefore, we should be, according to the globe claim, turning beneath things that aren't attached like footballs as claimed by Neil deGrasse Tyson. However, there is also, not my claim, an assertion that we have Earth and atmosphere moving together as one, negating all drift at 15 degrees an hour. So, you can't have it both ways. Either Earth and atmosphere turn as one and there's no effect to observe to prove we spin, or Earth turns underneath footballs, and we can then point out that you'd have shortened flight times from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA. It would be an hour and a half instead of 4.5 hours. So we definitely haven't got the Neil deGrasse Tyson claim because that's negated by the fact it's not in effect. And we haven't got Earth and atmosphere moving together because Earth can't be bonded to unbonded gas. In other words, there's no proof we spin.
But Nathan, I've seen, like, I think even on television, how they describe that, yeah, the air moves in lockstep with the rotation, so you don't notice that. But when you shoot a bullet up in the air, then its separated momentum causes it to actually deviate despite the air moving with the rotation. How about that?
Either it will drift because you turn beneath, or it will not drift because you're not turning beneath. It's not an either or circumstances. These two positions are mutually exclusive. You can't have a bit of one in the ball and none of it in the blimp. You can't have Earth not turning underneath hot air balloons but turning underneath bullets. It's one or the other. Now, the reality is, we just take something that stays in the air for more than a fraction of a second and say Earth would turn to a significant degree underneath this thing in the air for a long period of time. Ergo, Earth is not turning beneath this thing in the air. The only defence to that is to turn the claim that it should turn underneath into the flat Earth claim. Well, you flat earthers say Earth should turn underneath, says Blue Marble Science. You idiots, we're not on a roundabout. In other words, fly in the face of the globe claim in defence of the flat Earth, pointing out that we don't turn underneath anything.
Right, that makes perfect sense. But what I've heard the ballers speculate about is that things would technically move in lockstep with the air rotation, but if you move at a super fast speed, then somehow you break free from this lockstep. What do you even call that? From
Escape velocity
lockstep.
and gravitation. You're going to need gravity for that. You're going to need R for that. Escape velocity.
Yes. Of course.
You're going to need R for that.
Calculated.
You're going to need gravity for that. What are you escaping from? From the gravitational attraction of Earth?
No.
Yes, that's the globe rhetoric.
No. Lockstep rotation.
Yeah.
No. Break free from the lockstep floating. I guess it's the drift. Yes, the lockstep drift. That was it.
Yeah, the lockstep drift is a claim that gravity holds homogeneous layers, thermosphere, atmosphere, all of these different layers of sphere, presuppositions that stand in violation of the second law of thermodynamics, to have an assertion that air actually violates the first law of thermodynamics because it increases its velocity as it increases its altitude to stay in velcroed lockstep with an Earth that spins to give you no demonstrable effect to observe. Well, that's the gravitational effect, and you're going to need R for that, Arwin.
I was thinking of it in terms of reference frames, Nathan.
We were already spinning, so the radius is naturally assumed, right?
Oh, if in doubt, just beg the question. Yes, moving on. Thank you, Arwin. Go ahead, Adam.
Just thinking it in terms of the reference frame. So you're saying that you fire the bullet in the into the from the non-inertial into the inertial, where they're both in lockstep with each other, but when it reaches a certain speed, it will leave the inertial reference frame, which was previously in lockstep with the non-inertial. So what does it then enter into for it to then start to exhibit the Coriolis effect, which is what the claim is? It's already in its second reference frame. How is its speed putting it into another reference frame when it's in the same reference frame that you're supposedly in lockstepness?
Because it's broken free and it has so much force stabilizing its trajectory that it basically
Now you're going to need
evades
R for that.
the lockstep motion of everything drifting with the rotation.
So what's the third reference frame that it's entered then?
I don't know, but that speed, by the way, it's a magic speed that you'd have to do for that.
Sorry, magic speed.
Let's make it
at the start,
simple.
Owen, and I wouldn't have had a question.
Let's make it real simple. You got to give credit where credit's due. We have 15 degrees that we have to account for motion. Now, either the Earth is moving at 15 degrees per hour, or the Earth is stationary, and the sun is moving at 15 degrees an hour. Now, how would you test that? Well, if you're on the Earth, you wouldn't know because you're on the Earth. You don't know if it's moving or not. So get off the Earth Does the Earth move under you? Well, there you would have a wind. Then the Earth is moving under you, and you would have Earth-based Coriolis. Well, we get off the Earth, and the destination doesn't come towards us. We just hover. So now we know the Earth is not moving, and at the same time, while we're hovering over the Earth, the sun is moving at 15 degrees an hour. So obviously, the luminaries are moving at 15 degrees an hour. It's that simple.
Just so I can plug it later on, I don't know when, at some point in the future, that video from yesterday's discussion summarising this but in debate will get released, which is going to be titled Blue Marble, We Have a Problem.
What about R itself? Can we address that, Nathan?
Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius.
Yeah, I just want to point out that it's not our claim either, because they often mention being a straw man, like it's not their claim. Can we point that out?
Well, if they say that Earth being a sphere radius 3959 is a straw man, that's to say we don't claim Earth's a sphere radius 3959? Well, neither do we. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Oh, wait a second. You got hillbilly blue balls. We got a problem instead of Houston. We got a problem. I just got it. I'm sorry.
Can I make my argument for R?
Is this going to involve the? If this involves the equator, then no.
No, not that one. No, this is more recent. So, if things can break free from the lockstep drift, that would automatically imply there would have to be a radius in order for things to rotate for that to happen.
Hold on. If you assume rotation, then you must have a radius. Come on.
Yeah, and the breaking away from the lockstep drift would be the evidence for that.
What do you mean the breaking away?
Like breaking away, he means there being no demonstrable effect to observe would be evidence that we don't have lockstep drift in an assumption of drift which would give us an effect of Coriolis deflection that we're not seeing. Now that's a pretty good summary considering he said it once.
Yeah. What? But yeah, that. Yeah, that's my argument. Just make it so confusing that people will just move on.
There's no way anybody can make this argument confusing enough to make me lose track on it, Arwin. I will listen really intently and figure out immediately what it is you've done to either beg the question, force in a presupposition, or affirm the consequent without actually giving the P, therefore Q statement at the end of it. I can figure all those things out before you've even said them. With Coriolis, at least.
Nobody comes here no more.
But I keep trying, though.
That's why nobody comes here no more.
He's keeping me on my toes. I'm very grateful, actually, Arwin. It's only with Coriolis. If you did this with gravity with me, I'd fall apart at the seams. You know, Anthony can do that. I have very little interest in it because it's so easy to debunk in other means, whereas getting into the nitty-gritty of, I don't know, Kepler's third law for the sake of argument. Do I care? No. Do I need it? No. Interesting to listen to Anthony argue about it all day long, especially when he's doing it with you.
Is he ever going to come back?
About it in a long time.
Well, if you apologise for the constant fun demuting.
I did. I think it should be a new housekeeping question. Any evidence of Sleeping Warrior coming back?
Sleeping Warrior is cool. I spoke to him yesterday. He's good. He's all good.
He's still hanging in chats and all that. He's in chat right now.
Actually, thinking about it, that said, when I
Shout
spoke
out to Sleeping Warrior.
Hold on. By the way,
my boy.
Nathan, you were rumpusing him more than anybody that day.
I'm the host. What are you talking
I don't know
about?
about that, dude.
No,
Whoa.
he was. Nathan was hammering him, and he just would not let him get in on it. He even begged him, Nathan, just let me have a few seconds. So,
When I do it, it's amusing. When you do it, it's rumpusing and punishable by death. In fact, it must be an impression that's going out because I spoke to David Weiss yesterday and he was like, have you and Sleeping Warrior fallen out? And I was like, no. Whatever gave you that impression? He's like, oh, nothing. So I was like, oh, okay, well, if that's the vibe on the street, then I'll correct that right now. No, not at all. Far from it. Sleeping Warrior is ace, as always.
David got that impression because Neil keeps talking about it.
Just get a guilty conscience.
leave the boss out of it. I thought he was supposed to come on the other day. What happened?
So he keeps getting, like, I don't know, sciencey type students contacting him with really long emails that he just hasn't got time to read. So, you know, I was chatting with him and he's like, I've got 5 interviews to do back to back from here until whatever time. And here's this email I've got from this dude. So I said, just send it me. So I had a quick look through it. I was like, he's not claimed anything. I've read through the entire thing and there's nothing been claimed. And he's like, yeah, exactly. I haven't got time for this. And he was like, I want to send him your way. So I was like, here's the link. Look, explain that if he mentions you, he'll get the exact same crack of the whip as anybody else, which is to say he'll be allowed to make his claim and we'll hear it in its entirety and then we'll rip it to shreds. But if you want to make out that that's somehow preferential treatment because you've mentioned Dirth's name, then fine, you know, get them to mention your name. At least we'll know where they've come from. Immediately, oh, no, I can't do in the week. Can you do a special weekend only? And I'm like, well, you know, things can be arranged. This is my back and forth with Dave, by the way. You know, maybe we can arrange something for the weekend, whatever. Just keep me updated, and if I need to, I'll arrange something for you to get together, these 2 individuals, and thrash it out here. No worries. But, of course, the guy just is... I think David's put a challenge out to win 3 bitcoins, which is like 150 grand or something ludicrous. If they can prove a globe. You know, so this guy's endless rattling off of emails that say, what are the conditions, what are the terms, oh, if I give all of this information, will you accept it, and will you not accept it if I do this, that and the other, without providing a single shred of any claim or evidence whatsoever. You're like, so that's why he was in touch. When he said he wanted to come on, it was because he's trying to get someone else to come on, and he just wants to, you know, sit with this person, you know, putting across their challenges here, and you know, I don't blame him because it's no nonsense here, right? It'll get dealt with swiftly. But we'll see. Maybe it'll come to something. Maybe we'll see. It happens all the time. Even Eddie Bravo got in touch with me. Exactly the same conversation. How can I put this person in touch with you so you can have them come on the show and, you know, I want to be amused by watching them rip you a new asshole. Or you rip them a new asshole. And I'm like, yeah, just here's the link, send them on. It happens all the time. People will contact me and say, I'm in an argument with somebody and I want you to put them straight. Like, the link is open to everybody. It's underneath every show. And 99 times out of 100, they never come to anything. You know, I'm not knocking the people who keep asking, because they do occasionally come to something. One did with DITRH. He was like, can you pummel this guy? Sure, you know, maybe it'll come to it. Maybe it won't. And it did. So it's not that it always doesn't happen, but most of the time it doesn't happen when someone's like, can you pummel this person for me? Yeah, but you've got to tell them to come on the show and they've got to be willing to do so. If they're smart, they'll listen and go, stop that.
That's right. These guys don't play around over there.
I missed that. Say that again, Neil.
I was saying, if they listen, they're going to realize and say, I ain't going there. These guys don't play around.
You're going to need R for that.
But in the same token, if you do bring something valid of merit, it will be listened to honestly and openly, won't it? And viewed on its merits.
That's always the case, though.
Just sadly, we quickly know where things are going.
Well, that's what
the ball is bring.
That was the note I was hoping to round out on, actually, Adam, precisely. So when it came to yesterday, the opponent was given every opportunity to put his position, which was to say, you haven't detailed these 2 contradictory positions correctly. So it's like, okay, well, tell us how my summary of either Blue Marble or Neil deGrasse Tyson's position is wrong. Response, no. Okay, well, then you've not really got anything to offer anymore, because that's what we're discussing, this contradiction. Now, from that point on, that guy just wanted to interrupt every single word that I put across to my audience in summary, and as a result of me not allowing that to happen, he's like, you're shutting me down, after disclaiming that, no, I'm not going to justify my position, I'm just going to hand-wave you as being wrong, and not in any way justify it, and then rumpus the crap out of any summary that comes, and if I don't get to rumpus the crap out of any summary that comes, I'll cry foul. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you first and foremost to Discord and G+ for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, however, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.
lucky day!
I got a visit from Eric Debay in my chat today.
Oh, really?
Nice.
That's encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was a troll first, but didn't seem like a troll. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. It was very nice.
What topic were you discussing?
Nothing particularly flat earthish at the time. Just talking about diet and like be careful with coffee and alcohol, like really basic stuff.
Fair enough. That is another one of the subjects he covers, sort of health and lifestyle. He's a vegan, right?
Yeah. I was just surprised to see him pop in. It was very complimentary, so that was very, very nice surprise.
Yeah, well, he's a big name in this particular neck of the woods, and in years gone by, he's been quite standoffish. That said, he gets a load of shit off everybody, me included. You know, when I first came to this subject, I listened to Paul Markle Bales explaining how he claimed Eric Debay had ripped off all of his ideas and taken all the information from the Flat Earth Library, and he did a little rant about it, and I republished it. You know, so from Eric's point of view, it's like, well, you guys are all bastards. Why would I want to associate with you? But by the same token, it's like, well, a few years have elapsed now, and hopefully we've all moved past the idea that everyone else is a shill or whatever else was being claimed back in the day, 2015-ish. Which seems like a long time ago now. But, you know, Eric's very influential in this particular arena, and a lot of people like him, so it's nice to see that he is actually mulling around, interacting with you or any of us in that particular way. So shout out to you, Eric. Good on you.
Owen Benjamin calls him the savant.
Well, that's another thing that's like, when you look back on it, yeah, I'm not going to lie, I laughed about it. I thought it was funny when he was doing it. But on reflection, you think, that's just a bit of bullying, isn't it? Well, does he deserve that? Did Eric really deserve that? As funny as it was.
He can handle himself, Eric Debay.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm just trying to highlight that normally we're discussing internal crap between us and Globebusters or something. Whereas this is nice because it's not between us and anybody. It's between, for example, Owen Benjamin and Eric Debay. And you go, well, you know, if you were actually watching that unfold, you'd laugh because it is funny. But by the same token, you go, did he deserve that? Did Eric Debay deserve that? He's offering up his time to discuss the matter. You know, he might have had a few stipulations. You should see the unreasonable crap I put out to people as a tacit acceptance or conditional acceptance of the things they demand of me. You know, I assure you, you only don't have to look far. I'm sure people have republished some of the emails I send back in terms and conditions I lay out. Totally unreasonable, overtly and deliberately so. But meanwhile, you just go, well, did it deserve that? I don't think so.
Yeah, but he was calling a lot of
I think
people
you're spot on
shills.
there.
No, but hold on. Look, Eric Debay and Owen Benjamin, like the whole Savonier thing, it was really more about some of the typical followers of Eric Debay, right? Not Eric Debay himself so much. So there was never any real hostility between them.
And like Nathan's just identified, I think it was his cognitive dissonance at the time where he thought he was going to debate this guy and win. And then all Debay's followers started saying to Benjamin, when are you going to do this? Make a space, set a time, really putting pressure. And then he was like, who is this person? Like, does he deserve a red carpet? And it sort of birthed the whole Savania, flick your hair and everyone must move out the way so you can move through. And that Eric's this like guru that needs to be treated as such. But it was like Nathan was saying, it was almost like bullying because Owen knew he was going to get destroyed by this guy. So then you want to diminish that guy's character so that it's not even a competition.
Exactly. And again, with a bit of empathy, especially from my perspective, I can say you've got to go into those sorts of things aggressively. You've got to appear aggressive because it's a fight, right? So that's the stance that Eric took with him, and it was demeaned and diminished. And you could argue equally justifiably that, well, because of the aggressive stance that he's coming with, it's fair enough to sort of diffuse that a little bit with a bit of humour. But on reflection, I still think it went too far, to the point where even I got caught up in calling Eric Debay Savanier, because it's contagious. And it's a testament to the talent that is Owen Benjamin in that regard. He's a comedian, right? So he's going to know how to leverage those things. But still, on reflection, you go, despite it being funny, despite even me giving the disclaimer that Owen Benjamin's justified in it in some small way, it's still kind of bullying. There's no other way to look at it. And this is internal, right? Owen Benjamin's now a flat earther. So it's technically internal bullying. I've already disclaimed that I've done the same thing earlier in my YouTube flat earth career to Eric Dubay. So when you think about it in those contexts, we're on his side, right? And we're still giving him crap. That kind of molds you into a certain type of person. Now, I'm not going to justify any of the bad things that Eric may or may not have done with these disclaimers. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying you can still empathise with Eric when he gets pissed off with it and lashes out. It is understandable to a degree, and you can relate to that when you go through the same processes yourself with people you encounter, and then when they turn around and demean you, you go, well, that's bloody unreasonable. It's like, well, that happened to Eric, didn't it?
Right, but Owen Benjamin does get rough and joking with pretty much everyone, including his best friends. Still does that, so it is kind of his thing.
But Eric's not his best friend. He's somebody that he was going to discuss the nature of reality with. A paradigm-altering, very serious subject. And don't get me wrong, yeah, he's a comedian, you're going to expect that. But how far do you push it when the subject matter is going to be taken incredibly seriously by the person you're talking about? That is a bit disrespectful, is it not?
Yeah.
Well, look at things he was saying about Joe Rogan.
You know?
Hold on, Neil. Just, Owen, finish off your thought and then we'll go to Neil. Go ahead, Owen.
You mean Toe Rogan?
He was still a glober then, right? Eric Dubay kind of really pulled him over to the flat earth. Before that, he was very skeptical and he did get triggered over it a lot. So,
hold on.
You know?
Yeah.
That whole thing with the Savanya shit, was that before or after the Owen Benjamin with his, I don't want to be a flat earth person?
During.
Was that before? It was
During.
during it?
During.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
So it's during the transitional period where he's like, essentially, like one of the fundies that come to us, that, well, you explain it to me then. How does this work then? You know, it's kind of that kind of bullshit, on the knife edge, anti-flat earthy kind of could go either way attitude. And as we all know, you're going to take one of two stances, either super defensive and or super aggressive. You know, those are the two positions, and Eric took the latter, and I don't know, got kind of unreasonable treatment as a result, in my opinion. Now, all's well that ends well in this respect. I'm just trying to illustrate that when somebody like Eric moans about some of his own side being shills, it's like he's had that done to him, and I personally have done it by mirroring Paul Michael Bale's video. That essentially is me saying I take ownership of that video when I publish it. So you can understand this guy being pissed off and how that will relate or translate into behaviour that on the surface might seem unreasonable, but with a bit of understanding of his situation and a bit of empathy, you can go, yeah, totally relate.
Yeah, it was a tag team. They tagged out Dubay, and then DITRH came in. And once that conversation started with Benjamin, then he got to that, I don't want to be a flat earther anymore.
Nobody wants to be a flat earther. Nobody wants to stand in direct contravention of every single person they know in society. Nobody wants that.
All us think we do.
Brags about how tall he is. I think Joe Rogan will wreck him.
Yeah, that's a really weird overcompensation. So while he's calling him, I'm sorry if you're watching this, Owen Benjamin, but tough. This is what you do, so tough luck. I'm sure you can tolerate it. When he's describing Joe Rogan as Toe Rogan, I immediately picture the sort of, he's demeaning him for being overcompensatory for being small. But in reality, it's actually reflecting worse on Owen Benjamin, because it's like you're actually overcompensating for this small man who could clearly kick your ass, right? That's the way it comes across to me, at least.
No, but
You ever see him
recognizes
kick a
that.
bat?
He does admit that that's the case. He knows Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan was his friend, and then he was really pissed
Stop
off by Joe
defending him.
Rogan going back after coming out for the moon landing being fake. He just was very pissed off at him.
No, you just
Nathan,
know
when you
Benjamin Van
getting your boy Eddie Bravo to come on here, man? Say what's up real quick.
I don't know Eddie Bravo. I've spoken to the guy once in passing about a guy that he wanted to get on the show, and I've spoken to plenty of other people, similar types of people, with exactly the same motivation, trying to get somebody they're debating to come and be kicked around by me, basically, in this particular arena. Well, okay, fine. It doesn't mean I know the guy. My first response to him when he got in touch was like, look, please don't kick my ass. I'll stop using your your video in my outro. He's like, no. It's not that. Anyway, the point is here that with someone like Owen Benjamin or Joe Rogan, Eric Debay, these people are names and faces that are still just people, right? And they react in the way that most people will react. They project out their fears and insecurities onto other people. We all do it. But we're still talking about internal battles, with maybe the exception of Joe Rogan, who, you know, is very well informed as far as general Joe normies go. No pun intended with the Joe bit, with Mr. Normie. He's much more informed than most of those people, and he's taken contradictory stances for presumably commercial reasons, right? He has Neil deGrasse Tyson on his podcast. So, you know, I can only assume, as everybody else has called him shill and said he's a sellout, I'll just say for commercial reasons.
Yeah, fancy pants. Special custom-made fancy pants, which he requires because he really is small. He
What was
really
that?
is.
Well, that was another thing that
Smaller
annoyed me
than
and put
me,
me right
actually.
off Owen Benjamin. So he suddenly moved to a load of defamatory statements that he claimed he had evidence for in terms of Joe Rogan's sexuality. Now, up until that point, I don't care. True or false, it really doesn't affect any of the debating subjects. But yet suddenly I'm listening to sordid details from Owen Benjamin about somebody that used to be his mate. I'm like, ugh, doesn't this make you feel dirty, Owen Benjamin, doing this?
That's part of the Owen Benjamin lore. You just don't get it, really.
What? So
He does that a lot.
let's pretend for a moment, Arwin, that you were formerly a woman. This is not the case. Anybody listening? Right, just pretend for a second, right? But nobody knows this. Nobody knows that Arwin is actually transgender, just for the sake of argument. And we'll just clarify this for the audience. Arwin, you are not formerly a woman, are you?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of. That's good enough, right? But we're going to pretend,
I'd be an ugly woman.
for example's sake, we're going to pretend that is the case, and I know that is the case. And Arwin and I have an agreement as friends that I will never mention it. Then we fall out because Arwin suddenly gets given his 5 million euros to come up with a decent explanation for a spinning sphere Earth. It's bitten on by everybody in the Western world, and suddenly Arwin's super popular, but he has to rub shoulders with NDT. So I then go on one of my podcasts and start telling everybody how he's transgender. Doesn't that just make me scum?
Grimy.
No, a little envious though. Maybe. Okay, yeah, maybe. If we had a spoken agreement, you wouldn't. Yeah, then it's a little treacherous. But I don't think that Joe Rogan actually asked Owen Benjamin not to share that. Like, Owen Benjamin just figured that out on his own.
But why share it? There are certain things about people that have subsequently left our company, say Chris Monk or Ranty or, I don't know, anybody else, that there are various different details about their personal lives that I've been privy to, and feel grateful that I've been privy to them when I was privy to them. Do I have any desire whatsoever to release that information to smear those people? No. None whatsoever. It seems beneath most people to do so when there's a genuine paradigm-changing debate about the nature of existence that's on the table. I know. All of our opponents, all they ever do is try and attack our character. I'm not trying to get this subject to move over to our moans about how that's all they've got and they constantly try and demean our arguments by demeaning us personally. That isn't what I'm driving at. I'm just driving as normal people that aren't anti-flat earth scumbags that we have to deal with in cognitive dissonance that lash out at us personally. I'm saying that in a normal setting, which with Joe Rogan and Owen Benjamin, it's not like that, right? They might have separated company because they fell out on a particular view, or one's been blackballed from the arena that the other one is in. Does that mean that you've got to suddenly descend into really low blow personal attacks on that person when there isn't actually any necessity to do so?
Well, yeah, in a way, though, because look, you're overlooking something. There was basically everybody started to go against Owen Benjamin. And Toe also just, I don't even remember what the details were, but he did basically just say that he was a misogynist or a racist or something like that. I don't know exactly what it was. And Toe started doing that, right, to push away from the original position that he had taken in of the moon landings being fake. And he basically threw Owen Benjamin under the bus in that process, shamed him. And
okay, hold on.
Not appreciate that.
Hold on, I didn't know that. So you're saying during the process of his flip-flopping in terms of moon landing, you're saying in that process he did what to Owen Benjamin in that process? This is all new to me.
I think he shamed him in some way. I don't remember how. I might be wrong, but I think I remember he did. Because, yeah, Owen Benjamin is very loyal up until somebody basically starts to virtue signal shame him to get some kind of advantage out of the system. That really pisses Owen off. So I'd have to dig back. It's a while back now.
Okay. I mean, we're way off the beaten path now in terms of nature of reality. They're just sort of it's a bit handbagged at dawn at the moment, so hopefully the subject will change.
Right, but to round it out, Owen would not just start to really do low blows out of nowhere without a very illogically explainable precursor, right? So Joe did do something to deserve it, I think.
Well, if you wrestle,
Joe Rogan.
But if that's true,
Yeah.
there's the old saying, if you wrestle with a pig, you're going to get dirty, and the pig just likes it.
That's true.
Correct.
Our opponents have nothing to lose, right? On the Globe side, they can attack us personally, and in the same way we sort of laughed along when Eric Dubé was being called Savarnier by Owen Benjamin, the anti-flat earthers and so-called Globe believers will laugh their heads off when they point out some personal aspect that is being highlighted by an anti-flat earther. The fact that it's non sequitur, the fact that it's not addressing the point, the fact that 90% of their videos focus on those personal elements rather than the argument. Normally the argument's highlighted, then they're not even addressed at all. That'll go over most people's heads. Whereas it's much more difficult to actually keep the argument on track. Same if it's about a seemingly unfair part of the discussion itself, like interruptions. Focus on that for 10 minutes, because then the argument's never addressed. And all these sort of low-blow personal attacks we have to endure, it's one of those things that you just have to suffer if you're going to be seeming credible when you actually put your argument across.
Right, yeah, the anti-flat earthers definitely do, turn the situation... sorry, this is all wrong. When people go at it at home with one another among the flat earth, all the anti-flat earthers start standing around kind of hoping and chanting, oh, let this become a gladiator match, let one finish off the other so they leave the internet forever. They do really do that.
Yeah, a nice little weapon that we can just pick up and use. So in the same way we can say, let's watch Neil deGrasse Tyson and Blue Marble Science go at it in terms of the claim that we don't have any drift, there's nothing to see from Blue Marble, and the claim that the Earth's turning underneath to see drift from Neil deGrasse Tyson. Let's get ready to rumble!
That's got to be a steel cage.
It's an ambulance
Yeah,
match.
let's see them ruin their own reference frames.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than having to tell the defender of the globe, actually an anti-flat earther, that his position should be Earth's turning underneath so we can debunk it, only for them to tell us that, oh, you say Earth should turn underneath, repositioning the argument so he can argue against a flat earther's claim that Earth's turning beneath to cause drift. And we don't claim that. Just doesn't happen, and when it's shown not to happen, they need to argue against something, right? So they reposition it so that it's our argument suddenly that Earth should turn underneath. And it doesn't happen, so they can argue about how we say Earth should turn underneath. No, we don't. I never dreamed it would get to this stage. I always assumed that Coriolis effect would just be a cluster screw of nonsense that could never be decipherable to anybody watching. Now it's like, Earth's claimed to turn underneath a football by Neil deGrasse Tyson, and it's claimed not to turn underneath a football by Blue Marble Science. Off you go, lads. Nothing to do with me. Oh, and you're going to need R.
Any Globers in Discord? Drift or no drift? Putting the call out.
So like yesterday, is there anybody in Discord that would like to, in any way, shape or form, attempt to explain this contradiction between Blue Marble's position that we shouldn't expect to see drift under hot air balloons, when defending an argument between myself and Acumvirus, where Acumvirus was also succumbing to the contradiction that Earth should turn underneath a hot air balloon to cause Coriolis drift in the same way it would turn underneath if you were on a roundabout.
We're supposed to say something.
Oh, Virus, no, I was detailing your argument that was... Did you see that? Did you see Blue Marble had responded to your discussion with myself about that subject?
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
He said Earth and atmosphere move as one, Virus.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson says Earth moves underneath the atmosphere to cause drift at 15 degrees an hour. Do you understand how those two positions are mutually exclusive?
Can I see where Neil deGrasse Tyson said that?
Sorry, you want me to cite Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim that Earth has Coriolis effect?
Yes, please.
Why?
Because I want to know if that's what he said or not. Everybody knows that's what he said.
He said he did a quick...
brush up on your own crap.
He said he did a quick calculation whilst watching a football game. And according to him, Earth's rotation caused the ball to curve through the goal. That's what he claimed.
What was the 15 degrees?
You get a bit closer to your mic, Virus.
Where was the 15 degrees?
That's the claim that Earth's rotating, Virus. We're not any closer to you explaining this contradiction, though, Virus. The contradiction comes because Blue Marble says Earth moves with the atmosphere. Neil deGrasse Tyson makes the actual documented globe claim that Earth has Coriolis effect. That's 15 degrees an hour of drift as Earth turns underneath a football. So Neil deGrasse Tyson says Earth turns beneath the football. Blue Marble says Earth does not turn beneath the football. That's a contradiction. It's the third time it's been put to you.
It's not.
You're off your mic again, really far away, muttering, my friend. Just nice and clear into your mic for us, please.
Sorry, I'm in a hospital, and no, it's not a contradiction.
I'll explain the contradiction again, because clearly you haven't understood it. Blue Marble Science says Earth and atmosphere move together, no drift to observe. Very clearly stated by Blue Marble, who you apparently have watched, making it clear that I am apparently an idiot if I think Earth should turn underneath a hot air balloon. They travel together, says Blue Marble. No drift to observe. Neil deGrasse Tyson says, drift to observe. Earth turned beneath the football. So Neil says Earth turned beneath a football. Blue Marble says Earth doesn't turn beneath a football. That is a contradiction. Are you just too dumb to understand it? Nice and clear into your mic, please.
Marvel didn't say that. And Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't say Coriolis is 15 degrees.
Coriolis degrees 15 of is Earth's claim.
It's not a globe claim.
Sorry, Earth is claimed to have 15 degrees an hour deviation Coriolis effect. So what, you're just going to deny it flat out, anti-flat earther? You're wrong, anti-flat earther. I am not claiming this effect we do not see. Neil deGrasse Tyson, and as I have already stated 3 times, it's really easy to look up. Earth is claimed to have Coriolis deflection at 15 degrees an hour. You're denying that flat out now. Welcome to non-rotating Earth.
Okay, so do you understand that the pendulums don't move at 15 degrees, right? And that's Coriolis.
Yeah, it's claimed that Earth turns underneath the pendulum, like it turned underneath the football, but doesn't turn underneath according to blue marble science. That's the contradiction. Yes, we do understand that it is claimed by the globe that Earth turned underneath the pendulum at 15 degrees an hour. I'll also point out at this stage, you have also denied that very claim, Virus. Cognitive dissonance much?
What I'm denying is Coriolis being 15 degrees of drift.
What, underneath a pendulum?
Even under a pendulum.
Yeah, pendulum only goes back and forth and is claimed to drift at 15 degrees an hour because Earth's claimed to turn beneath it. That's the globe claim. Simultaneously, there's a contradictory claim from blue marble science that Earth and atmosphere move as one, no drift to observe. So 15 degrees an hour drift, globe claim under a pendulum, no 15 degrees an hour drift according to blue marble. That's 5 times. Tell me it's not a contradiction again. Nice and clear into your mic, please.
Okay, for the 4th time, you can tell by the way the pendulums move at their latitude that it's not 15 degrees an hour.
Of what?
Coriolis deviation.
Earth turning beneath it. You've said that Earth doesn't turn beneath. You seem confused.
I didn't say that.
You said there isn't a claim of 15 degrees an hour deviation. Now, if you're going to argue about the rate, I couldn't care less. Because the rate is claimed to not be in effect by blue marble. Is blue marble wrong because he says no drift? He even called me stupid for pointing out the globe says you have drift. He said, why would you expect Earth to turn under a hot air balloon, you idiot? They move together. No drift. So he's wrong, right, Virus?
No, he is not wrong.
So he's saying Earth does not turn underneath stuff at 15 degrees an hour, and that's completely in contrast to the claim Earth turns underneath a pendulum at 15 degrees an hour. Those two positions are mutually exclusive. He can't be right, because if they move together, there's no 15 degrees an hour drift under a pendulum. They're the same reference frame.
The reason you don't see a 15-degree drift is...
Sorry, we're supposed to see a 15 degrees an hour drift if we're on a spinning Earth, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson. So you're saying Neil deGrasse Tyson's wrong, then? The reason we don't see drift, he said we saw it under a football, and you're now explaining why we don't see Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim of 15 degrees drift under a ball. So you're now saying Neil deGrasse Tyson's wrong. The reason we don't see the drift Neil deGrasse Tyson said we do see, right?
No, I'm not.
Sorry, you just said the reason we don't see drift, Neil deGrasse Tyson said we saw drift as Earth turned under a ball. You're saying we don't see that. So you're saying Neil deGrasse Tyson is wrong then?
I just told you no, I did not say that.
Well, you've just said the reason we don't see drift... Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson says we see drift under a football.
No, I did not just say that. I said you don't see 15-degree drift. Because...
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson says we do.
Well, let me see that.
He says that Earth turned beneath a football, and he did a calculation from the stand to calculate the Coriolis deflection as Earth turned beneath. He very specifically said it was caused by Earth's turning beneath it.
Can I see what he's...
No, I don't give a crap. No, I'm not going to cite Neil deGrasse Tyson for you. If you want to deny that Neil deGrasse Tyson claims the specific claim you have claimed with the pendulum, it's the same claim. Neil deGrasse Tyson claimed what you claim with the pendulum. That would be Earth turning beneath a football. But you've now started to launch into the reason why we don't see the effect Neil deGrasse Tyson claimed. So you're aligning with Blue Marble that we won't see drift, but disagreeing with Neil deGrasse Tyson that we will see 15 degrees an hour drift under a ball. And when we get to that point where you're aligning with Blue Marble, disagreeing with Neil deGrasse Tyson, you're insisting that I show you that he claims we have Coriolis effect. He does.
No, that's not.
Yeah, he does. Not no, yes. Neil deGrasse Tyson claimed Earth turned beneath the ball at 15 degrees an hour. That is what he claims. It's Coriolis effect. It's definitely what the globe claims.
Can you show me where it says Coriolis is 15 degrees?
But that is the globe's claim. Earth claims we have 15 degrees an hour drift because Earth turned beneath a football according to NDT. We just don't see it happen. It's not drifting. We'd notice. Now, you're saying why we won't see it. Well, you're disagreeing with Neil deGrasse Tyson because you want to align with Blue Marble. They can't both be true.
It's both true.
You can't have Earth turning beneath a football, as per Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim that Earth turned beneath a football to cause Coriolis deflection, and Earth not turning beneath a football, the reason we don't have 15 degrees an hour drift according to you and Blue Marble. They can't both be true.
Yeah, both. Why not?
Because either Earth is turning beneath a football, or it's not turning beneath a football. Neil deGrasse Tyson says Earth turns beneath a football. Blue Marble science says it doesn't turn beneath a football. They can't both be true, you idiot.
Okay, can I say something? I think both would say that it turns under the football. But...
No, Blue Marble specifically says that we are not on a roundabout. Earth and atmosphere move together. Therefore, we will not see them move apart at 15 degrees an hour. Blue Marble's very specifically saying no drift to sea. Neil deGrasse Tyson is saying there will be drift to sea. They are contrasting completely opposite positions, Virus.
You're misunderstanding both.
Oh, it's I don't understand.
Can I explain?
Sorry, I don't understand the quote that you haven't got, that you're demanding I go and get, even though it's a well-known quote, where he sits and describes how Earth turned underneath to cause the winning field goal.
Can I explain where you're getting it wrong?
I'm not explaining any of these examples. Who's getting it wrong, Neil deGrasse Tyson or Blue Marble?
You are.
I'm not making either of these claims. Now, I explained to my audience earlier how, as an anti-flat earther, you need to reposition one of these claims as being mine. I'll say again. Neil deGrasse Tyson, not Nathan Oakley, says Earth turns beneath a football. Blue Marble science, by contrast, not Nathan Oakley, says Earth and atmosphere travel together so there's no drift. Those two positions are in contrast to one another. I'm not claiming either. So who, pray tell, is wrong? Neil deGrasse Tyson or Blue Marble? Because Nathan Oakley's not making a claim here.
Yeah, but Nathan Oakley is misunderstanding him.
Which one am I misunderstanding?
Both.
Well, feel free to start by explaining how I misunderstand Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim that Earth turned beneath a football. Go.
First of all, it's not 15 degrees per hour.
Sorry, that's what Earth claims, so don't immediately deny the claim that Earth has 15 degrees an hour drift in Coriolis claims that Earth makes. That is what Earth claims. So to flat out deny the claim that the globe makes is to fly in the face of the claim Neil deGrasse Tyson's making. So Neil deGrasse Tyson does claim 15 degrees an hour. You are stupid.
You gonna let me finish, or you gonna try to throw a claim?
Yeah, you said it's not 15 degrees an hour when I haven't said anything other than what Neil deGrasse Tyson said, which is 15 degrees an hour. That's the globe claim that Neil deGrasse Tyson's making. You're saying I've misunderstood it because it's not 15 degrees an hour. Well, I haven't said it is. Neil deGrasse Tyson did, and you're disagreeing with Neil deGrasse Tyson. So I think you need to go and take up with Mr. deGrasse Tyson the fact that he's claiming 15 degrees an hour of Earth turning underneath a football, in contrast to Blue Marble, who says that won't happen, because you're saying it's not 15 degrees. Well, go and tell Neil deGrasse Tyson. He says it is.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. Yeah, just a hand wave won't work. Are you done here, Virus?
I know he doesn't.
Yes, he does. He claims the globe rhetoric of 15 degrees an hour deviation caused by Coriolis effect. He does claim 15 degrees an hour of drift underneath a football. You are incorrect. Hand-waving away your own globe claim just shows how stupid you are and how willing you are to relinquish your own globe claim of 15 degrees an hour turning underneath a football, something which is contrasted and disagreed with by Blue Marble, who says Earth does not turn beneath things, it's all tracking together. Ergo, no drift claimed by Tyson, according to Blue Marble.
Are you ever going to let me finish, or are you just going to talk through me?
Oh, so you're just going to claim I'm not letting you finish? You told me it's not 15 degrees an hour. I told you Neil deGrasse Tyson does claim 15 degrees an hour. That's the end of this statement.
All right, so you have to let me finish what I was actually saying about what you had wrong about it. The pendulums that you like to attack.
So I wasn't claiming pendulums. You seem to be repositioning this into an argument I haven't made. Neil deGrasse Tyson's talking about football, not pendulums. The pendulum you claim has Earth turning underneath it at 15 degrees an hour is the same claim Tyson makes underneath the football.
Are you going to let me finish?
Do you want to suck my balls? Neil deGrasse Tyson says Earth turns underneath a football. Blue Marble Science says Earth doesn't turn underneath a football. There's no mention of pendulums.
Not going to let me finish.
There's no mention of pendulums in this contradiction.
Okay, so you're not going to let me prove my point.
Your point isn't anything to do with the contradiction in terms that Neil deGrasse Tyson and Blue Marble has. One says Earth turns underneath a football. That's Neil deGrasse Tyson. The other, Blue Marble Science, says Earth will not turn under a football.
Yeah, and I just told you you misunderstood both of them.
Oh, really? Which part did I misunderstand? Don't tell me about pendulums.
I just told you the 15 degrees an hour, which Neil deGrasse didn't say was Coriolis, and then Big Blue, you're saying that he said something about footballs when he mentioned balloons. Neil deGrasse Tyson's talking about footballs and not balloons.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson says Earth will turn beneath a football, and Blue Marble Science says Earth will not turn beneath a balloon.
Yeah.
No, those two things are mutually exclusive of one another. You can't have Earth not turning underneath a balloon, but turning underneath a football.
What's the difference between them?
So why are you asking me something? This is a contradiction that you're trying to address. I haven't made any claims. You don't need to question me.
Yeah, you are.
No. Again, you desperately need this to be my claim, don't you?
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. That's why you keep repositioning it and asking me questions about these claims and denying what Neil deGrasse Tyson claims 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turned beneath a football. Denied by your buddy Blue Marble, who says Earth won't turn beneath a hot air balloon. So Earth's not turning beneath hot air balloons, but is turning beneath balls. Those two things are mutually exclusive. It's about the 10th time I've told you.
Yeah, and I told you otherwise. I don't know why you won't listen to me.
Oh, what did you tell me otherwise?
That you can't compare those two.
Oh, I can't compare Earth turning beneath a hot air balloon with Earth turning beneath a ball. So you're saying that Coriolis effect isn't applicable in these two circumstances. Therefore, if I was on a roundabout and I threw a ball and let go of a helium balloon, I'd only see Coriolis effect in the ball?
No, you would.
No, I'd see it in both of them, wouldn't I?
No, you would.
Yeah, I would. If I let go of a balloon on a rotating roundabout and threw a ball at the same time, both would be subject to Coriolis effect because I'd be rotating beneath both of them. You're saying that if I release a balloon on a rotating roundabout and throw a ball at the same time, the balloon will track along with me?
No, I'm not saying.
No, well, that's what Blue Marble's saying. In stark contrast to what Neil deGrasse Tyson's saying. So it seems you don't understand that even though Blue Marble made his example with a balloon and Neil deGrasse Tyson made his example with a ball, that if I transpose that onto a roundabout rather than a spinning Earth, they'll both still suffer the effect of Coriolis deflection as I turn beneath them to see them both seem to drift. It won't suddenly be selective and Earth won't turn under a hot air balloon but will turn under a ball. As I've said 11 times, they are mutually exclusive of one another. It would happen on a roundabout, but suddenly it's selective on a turning Earth. No, mate. Just a contrasting position these two idiots have that you tell me I don't understand. Well, I do understand implicitly. They're just contrasting each other's views. One says Earth turns beneath, one says Earth doesn't turn beneath, Virus. Simple.
Who kicked the balloon?
What about the balloon?
Who kicked it?
Who what it? Speak clearly.
Kick. Who kicked it?
Who kicked the balloon?
Yeah.
Sorry, what's this got to do with anything? If I'm on a roundabout and I let go of a balloon and a ball, both of them drift.
A football.
Sorry, you're not listening to my response, or what?
A football was kicked.
Yeah, I heard you.
So who kicked the balloon?
Sorry, the balloon on a roundabout and a ball will both suffer the effect of Coriolis deflection. It's not like the balloon tracks with the roundabout. Oh, you are going to talk through me. You don't like my response, coward. What's wrong? What's with the fundy muting?
Go ahead.
Don't need your permission, you fundy fucktard. I need you to appreciate that every time you deny that I don't understand these very different positions held by Neil deGrasse Tyson and Blue Marble Science. Blue Marble Science says Earth will not turn under a ball when it leaves the surface of a rotating Earth. Neil deGrasse Tyson says Earth will turn underneath a football when it leaves the surface of a rotating Earth. Now, neither of these clowns have got an R value to make this assertion, but either way, they're in contradiction of one another. Because if I take the exact same example and kick a ball off a roundabout and let go of a balloon from a roundabout, both will have the same effect as I turn beneath them. That would be Coriolis deflection. Now, according to Blue, when it's a turning Earth rather than a roundabout, Earth won't turn under the ball because the atmosphere moves with it. But according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, Earth will turn under a ball. So we see Coriolis deflection like with the roundabout example. But Blue Marble's example has got the balloon tracking with the roundabout. Total nonsense. And in contrast to Neil deGrasse Tyson's view. Do we understand now, Virus? Maybe you need to tell me again that I don't understand.
Yeah, I clearly understand that you don't understand.
You understand that I don't understand. What a wanker.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a wanker.
You won't let me tell you how. You won't even let me finish.
Clown,
Sorry, when you attempted to tell me, you started launching into what pendulums do.
You wouldn't let me finish. Not
About pendulums?
Bro, you think that tactic is working? The you don't let me finish tactic? When every time your sentence is complete and that's when Nathan starts talking? Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Who do you think
It's
you're
not my
fooling
fault.
with this nonsense, bro? Who do you think you're fooling?
With what?
With this nonsense.
That you're spewing.
You've been asked to explain a contradiction. You know damn well that there's a contradiction. Earth's claim to travel with the atmosphere when you beg the question and have no effect to show. Earth's also claimed to turn underneath balls and bullets. So you've got two positions from the globe side, and I've left you no opening to reposition this as my argument, have I? So you're fucked!
No, actually, I'm not. You just don't have an understanding of what.
I just don't understand. Wow, what a marvellous rebuttal. I don't understand. When I ask you which position I don't understand, you tell me Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't claim 15 degrees an hour drift. Yeah, he does. That's all you've given us so far.
It's not my fault you won't let me finish, man.
You won't let me finish, man.
Denying
This is shit.
Virus, you're denying Earth rotation. Do you know that? You're denying Earth rotation.
Denying Earth
Virus.
rotation.
Keep projecting, you
denying
rumpusing piece of
Earth
shit.
rotation.
Can we play the quote from Smoking the Grass Tyson for everybody so we can end this?
That's at the end of his argument because he's denying Earth rotation.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Neil deGrasse says that
Okay,
there
you're
is
not.
Earth rotation.
You're not. Hang on. He said he's not. So at what rate is Earth rotating then? Since you're not denying Earth
15 degrees.
rotation, what rate is that? In degrees?
15 degrees.
Underneath a hot air balloon, right?
No.
So not rotating at 15 degrees an hour, so you've got two
No.
positions, both at the same time.
This is
Not how
ridiculous.
Coriolis works.
Yes, but no.
Sorry, that's not how Coriolis works. Coriolis effect is the not actual deflection of a projectile in an inertial reference frame as you observe it turning beneath in a non-inertial reference frame. That is what Coriolis effect is. I absolutely understand what Coriolis effect is. Neil deGrasse Tyson claims that from the stands of a football stadium, you watch an apparent deviation of a ball through the goal because Earth turned beneath it at 15 degrees an hour. It is also the same claim as made with a gyroscope or pendulum, Earth turning beneath at 15 degrees an hour. That is the claim that globe Earth makes. We point out that Earth does not turn beneath hot air balloons, and blue marble science tells us there is no drift at 15 degrees an hour to observe. Earth and atmosphere move as one. Therefore, contrasting and annihilating the claim that Neil deGrasse Tyson makes. None of these are my claims for you to tell me my reference frames are ruined. We only have Neil deGrasse Tyson with his 2 reference frames. That would be inertial and non-inertial. Inertial reference frame the ball travels through. Non-inertial reference frame you observe the ball from. 2 reference frames asserted by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Blue marble science, by contrast, asserts 1 reference frame. Earth and atmosphere as 1 reference frame. These 2 positions are mutually exclusive. You can't simultaneously have 2 reference frames to observe drift and only 1 reference frame where you won't observe drift. Blue marble has 1. Blue marble has 1 reference frame. Neil deGrasse Tyson has 2 reference frames. Simple.
Can I ask you a simple question about Coriolis if you know it?
I'm not making any claims about Coriolis effect, so why would you ask me?
Thanks.
Why would you ask me? I'm not making any claims about it.
To test your knowledge, because you say you know Coriolis.
I do. Like the back of my hand, inside out, upside down, and back to front. Better than any person who comes on this show. However, Neil deGrasse Tyson asserts that Earth turns beneath a football at 15 degrees an hour. 2 reference frames. Blue marble science asserts that Earth and atmosphere travel as one, so we won't see drift under a hot air balloon. 1 reference frame.
And can I ask you a question about Coriolis?
No, you can explain why blue marble has 1 reference frames and Neil deGrasse Tyson has 2 reference frames.
I'm going to explain that with my question.
I don't care about your question. I want to know why we've got contrasting positions from Globe's side of this argument. Why Neil deGrasse Tyson says there's 2 reference frames for us to observe 15 degrees an hour drift, and Blue Marble says there's only 1 reference frame, there's no drift to observe. I want to know why these 2 things are in contrast to one another when they're both coming from the same side.
I'm going to explain that with my question if you answer it.
Questions don't explain things, you stupid idiot.
So you don't want to know why?
Do you understand that a question isn't an explanation?
It's going to show that...
You're pissing me right off, you stupid idiot. My question will explain this. No, it fucking won't. Questions aren't explanations, dipshit.
You doubt me? Just trust me, Nathan, it will.
Your question won't explain anything, it'll be a question.
It's going to be a question and your answer's going to explain it.
My answer won't. There's no answer to be had here. We have a contrasting position between Blue Marble with with a single reference frame and Neil deGrasse Tyson with 2 reference frames. That needs squaring.
It's gonna explain it. Just trust me. You have to trust me. It's gonna explain it. Do you want to hear the question? Do you accept this?
I don't want a question. I've just heard that you're going to explain it, so I've shut up.
Yeah, it's going to explain in my question.
Tell me 16 more times that you're going to explain it. Tell me 16 more times and then do absolutely nothing to explain this contradiction between Neil deGrasse Tyson with his 2 reference frames to cause drift and Blue Marble with his single reference frame that doesn't cause drift.
Okay. All right, so...
Ask me if I want you to explain it again. Go on, you stupid dick shit. Go on.
I wasn't going to ask that. Do you really want me to ask you that?
So you are going to ask me if I want you to ask me again, you fucking idiot. I'm going to kick you out. You've got 5 seconds to start explaining the contradiction between NDT, 2 reference frames, and Blue Marble, 1 reference frame. If you don't start explaining that in the next 5 seconds, I'm going to kick you out.
Okay, whatever. You don't... Okay, so the problem relies in the person that's receiving both of these information. You're getting both of their claims wrong because you don't understand Coriolis. And if you really understood Coriolis, you will understand that they're not a contradiction with each other. It's just that simple.
So your explanation is to tell me that I don't understand Coriolis, you fucking cunt.
So why don't you answer my question if you...
Your question is you don't understand Coriolis, not an explanation for the contradiction.
That's not my question.
Your question was to say I don't understand Coriolis. Now I'm going to detail Coriolis so that any person watching will realise what a complete asshole you are. Coriolis is the not actual deflection observed from a rotating, non-inertial reference frame of a projectile in an inertial reference frame. The not actual deflection would be a curved path that appears to take place because you rotate beneath it. Notice how he doesn't launch into a "no, you're wrong."
I wasn't finna say that.
Yeah, because I'm not wrong, and I do understand, Coriolis, and your explanation for the contradiction was merely an ad hominem attack, telling me I don't understand something that I understand implicitly.
Okay, so when would I...
No, okay, you complete asshole.
When would it go east?
No, you've told me I don't understand, asshole. Yes, I do. You are just a cunt.
You're wrong.
Oi! You've just told me I don't understand. I've detailed it concisely. You're wrong and an asshole. And you're using an ad hom, claiming it's an explanation for the contradiction, and then turning it into an ad hom about something that I clearly understand. You are an asshole. You haven't explained how Blue Marble's contradiction with NDT's 2 reference frames is explainable.
When would deviation go east?
Right, who are you asking? I'm not making this claim. Why are you asking me about this claim? It's not mine.
Because you say you know Coriolis.
Sorry, I don't make a claim about Coriolis. Neil deGrasse Tyson makes a claim about having 2 reference frames to show Coriolis. Now, simultaneously, Blue Marble says 1 reference frame, no drift. Those 2 things don't work.
Made a claim that you know Coriolis.
Yeah, so what? I do. I've explained it and detailed it.
Answer my question then. When does it go east? When is deviation east?
East has nothing to do with Coriolis effect.
Oh, yes, it does.
No, things don't actually deflect in Coriolis effect.
When is the deviation?
Sorry, there is no eastward deflection because the deflection is not actual. I've answered your question.
So you don't know Coriolis?
There is no eastward. It's a not actual deflection. Are you stupid? I'm answering you. When does the deflection go east? Never. Not actual deflection.
No claim.
He's ignoring me, isn't he?
Globe.
Guys in G+, Discord. Guys in Discord, is he just chanting through my responses?
Yes, he is.
Oi, cunt! Why are you chanting through every fucking word I say?
I'm not. I heard everything that you said.
Why is it never, ever, ever east, as per your question?
No, my question...
Not no! I've given you a description of why it's never east, as per your question. You've chanted through every fucking word of it, and now your response is no? You haven't listened to a word I've said. You've chanted through every word of it. I'm watching the line dance while I talk. I can see you chanting through every damn word I say.
I'm in a hospital.
Oh, well, that makes it perfectly acceptable for you to chant through every word I say and ignore the contradiction that Blue Marble has with his 1 reference frame, no drift, and Neil deGrasse Tyson with his 2 reference frames and drift. You can chant through that, right? And ask me why deflection goes eastward. No, it doesn't ever, because it's not actual deflection. 3rd time I've said it, this time you actually listened.
I heard you the first 2 times you said it, and I corrected you by saying the globe does claim an eastward deflection.
There is no deflection in Coriolis effect, you idiot. It's a not actual effect. You're going to tell me... So, it seems pretty clear now. You don't understand what Coriolis effect is. Because you keep saying there's going to be an eastward deflection when it's not actual deflection. Apparent, meaning appearing but not actual. So no, you don't understand what Coriolis effect is.
So when does it appear?
You don't understand Coriolis. Don't repeatedly ask me questions. The effect of not actual, that's apparent deflection, observed as you turn beneath something that appears to drift but doesn't actually drift in the inertial reference frame. You keep asking me why eastward deflection? Well, never. There isn't any. You're just wrong and don't understand this effect. But you've got the gall to challenge me on it, fundy mute me explaining it to you, not explain the contradiction and merely describe how I don't understand it. What an outrage!
What is Coriolis measured in?
Sorry, what effect are we detailing? The non-drift from Blue Marble. Oh, you are going to fundy mute me? Fundy mute time, right? So start straight through me, right? Which effect? You say Coriolis? Which one? The one that won't give us drift, single reference frame from Blue Marble, or the one from Neil deGrasse Tyson in line with the globe rhetoric? Which one? I'm not claiming either. There's two.
What are they measured in? You don't have to claim
Which
it.
one? I heard your question. Now I need clarity. Blue Marble's non-drift or NDT's drift, mate? I'm not making this claim. There's two. That's the point. Don't ask me to detail which one when that's our point.
Both of them. The globe.
Both of them. One doesn't have drift and the other one does. They're very different to each other. Blue Marble's claiming no drift. Neil deGrasse Tyson's claiming drift. So I can't really respond when you say both of them because you haven't addressed the contradiction yet.
The one that does have drift.
Oh, so Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim. So you're saying Blue Marble science is incorrect then?
No, I'm asking you.
Well, he says there's no drift. You just said you want to address the one that does have drift. Well, that's definitely not Blue Marble. So you're saying Blue Marble's wrong then? No drift in Blue Marble's example.
No, I'm not.
Well, you've just said the one with drift. Well, that's not Blue Marble, so Blue Marble's wrong.
What is it measured in?
The drift that doesn't occur in Blue Marble's one that you're saying is wrong, because that's the point we're addressing. You seem to want to make this my claim again and ask me questions. When I just want to point out that the drift, the one with drift, that's not Blue Marble's. So Blue Marble's definitely wrong about this, isn't he, Virus?
What is Corey?
So why are you asking me about this? You said the one with drift, that's Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim of 2 reference frames to cause drift as you turn beneath, according to NDT. That makes Blue Marble wrong then, Virus.
What is Corey?
Why are you asking me something?
Yep, I am asking.
No, you're not. I'm pointing out that if you want to talk about the one with drift, you're proving Blue Marble wrong.
What is it measured in?
Sorry, Blue Marble's lack of drift. That one.
What is Coriolis measured in?
It's not according to Blue Marble science. That's the 6th time. You seem to be asking me about the drift that's not happening in Blue Marble's example, and I'm pointing out that this doesn't happen in Blue Marble's example. So that makes him wrong then if you want to talk about the drift that does occur, because Blue Marble says it doesn't. Do you understand? It's not going to become my claim that you can attack. You can only attack NDT or Blue Marble in this scenario. Fun, huh?
You're still avoiding my question.
Your question is asking me which one's got the drift in it. And I'm saying Blue Marble's hasn't. You're asking me how much drift. And I'm saying none in Blue Marble's example. You just don't like that. Because every time you ask me about that drift, and I point out Blue Marble hasn't got any, you're going against Blue Marble and then you want to ask me the same question again. And I'll just keep pointing out to you that you're going against the claim that Blue Marble makes that there isn't any drift then.
No, I'm going...
Yeah, you are. Because you're asking about Neil deGrasse Tyson's example with 2 reference frames, when Blue Marble says there's only one and no drift to observe there, Virus. So Blue Marble's wrong.
He's not.
Well, he says there's no drift, and you seem to want to talk about the example that Neil deGrasse Tyson makes with drift. So he's definitely wrong, because he says there isn't any.
No, I just want to ask you what is Coriolis measured in?
Which one? The one from Blue Marble where there isn't any, or the one from Neil deGrasse Tyson where there is? We've already established you want to talk about the one where there is drift, making Blue Marble wrong.
Pick either one of them. I don't care. Just tell
Okay,
me.
we'll pick the one where there's no drift to be observed. Blue Marble science says there's no 15 degrees an hour drift. So Blue Marble has effectively debunked Neil deGrasse Tyson, who says there is. And you, because you want to talk about it.
What is Coriolis measured in?
It's not, according to Blue Marble. There isn't any drift. There's only one reference frame.
It's still measured in something.
Not according to Blue Marble.
Still measured.
Still measured according to Blue Marble? No. No drift to see.
It still has...
Sorry, Earth not turning under a hot air balloon. No drift. According to Blue Marble.
It still has units.
Sorry, Earth not turning under a roundabout or a hot air balloon according to Blue Marble. You want to talk about drift that Earth has? Blue Marble says there isn't any.
You need a radius.
What's the unit for
anyway.
Coriolis?
Why are you asking me this? When there's no effect to observe according to Blue Marble, I've told you that and you just don't want to address it. You could just say, yeah, I get it, Blue Marble's wrong, but you'd rather talk through me every time I point it out. Fundy mute it so you don't have to address it. Yeah, every time you ask me about Coriolis drift, and I point out that Blue Marble doesn't have any, You seem to repeat your question rather than addressing the fact that Blue Marble has called me an idiot because I don't understand that Earth is not turning under hot air balloons. Well, if it's not turning under hot air balloons, there isn't any drift that you want to talk about, Virus. Therefore, Blue Marble's wrong, isn't he?
You're avoiding my question.
Am I now? Seems more like you're avoiding the fact that no matter who you attack in this scenario, somebody from the globe side's getting raped. Either Blue Marble or NDT is going to end up fucked at the end of this example. Not me, for a change. Nice to be sat here with a massive smile on my face, knowing no matter which way you turn, you're going to be buggering one of your own. That'd be either Blue Marble currently, because you desperately want to talk about 2 reference frames, and Drift and Coriolis. So you're going to be screwing over Blue Marble, who says there's only 1 reference frame, and calls me an idiot because I point out the globe says, Neil deGrasse Tyson says, Earth will turn underneath hot air balloons and footballs and bullets. Unlike Blue Marble, the one you're disagreeing with there, Virus. Wrong, isn't he? 2 reference frames, like Neil deGrasse Tyson says, right?
So what units do you use for Coriolis?
What am I going to use? I don't.
So you don't use unit?
No, I don't. I've just exampled about 55 times how NDT and Blue Marble are detailing the effect of Earth turn, Coriolis deviation, and drift we don't observe according to Blue Marble. It's not my example. Why are you asking me?
Yes. Yes, I know for the 55th time you explained how you don't understand any of their points. We get that.
Sorry, I haven't explained how I don't understand any of their points. That's just an ad hominem attack, where you claim I don't understand Coriolis or the points made by Neil deGrasse Tyson, who claims a field goal was observed to curve through the goal because Earth turned beneath the field goal. And Blue Marble, who says Earth will not turn beneath a hot air balloon. Even though if you example Coriolis on a roundabout, it will turn beneath both a ball and a balloon, but when we transpose that onto Earth, suddenly we have contrasting positions from NDT and Blue Marble. NDT says Earth does turn under the ball, like on a roundabout with a balloon and a ball. But Blue Marble says no, the balloon moves with the roundabout. No deflection to see.
Where are pendulums deviation the strongest?
So who claimed pendulums? I don't remember detailing pendulums.
Coriolis.
I remember detailing
Coriolis.
Earth turning beneath a ball, according to NDT, and Earth not turning beneath a balloon, according to Blue Marble. Nothing to do with pendulums.
Do you understand how I'm attacking your argument?
You're not. You just keep telling me I don't understand Coriolis or their positions, which I've summarised about 50 times.
I'm basically getting people to understand that you don't understand Coriolis because you can't.
Yeah, we know. You're getting people to think I don't understand Coriolis by saying it over and over again, but not giving any examples or summarising it. And every time you claim I don't understand it, I say Coriolis is a not actual deflection observed from a non-inertial turning reference frame beneath an inertial reference frame to observe not actual deflection in a projectile which potentially travels in a straight line but appears to curve because you turn beneath it. That is Coriolis effect, and every time you try and allude to my audience that I don't understand this stuff by baseless assertion and ad hominem, I'll just detail it concisely.
How much do you expect to see deviation on the equator?
Sorry, how much do we see deviation on the equator? According to Blue Marble science, we don't. So, according to Blue Marble science, Earth and atmosphere move as one reference frame. So no deviation according to Blue Marble science. None. Zero. Nada. Certainly not the 15 degrees an hour deviation that Neil deGrasse Tyson claimed to happen under a football.
You think all Coriolis is 15 degrees?
Right, I don't claim Coriolis, so I don't think it's 15 degrees an hour of anything. Although I could give an example where a roundabout turned at 15 degrees an hour by example, or any degrees an hour. However, despite you desperately trying to make this my claim, the globe claims that there's 15 degrees an hour deviation caused by Earth turning beneath things like hot air balloons and footballs. It's called Coriolis effect. You can only observe the effect if you are turning beneath things. So if we've got the effect, as described by Neil deGrasse Tyson with his 2 reference frames, one turning beneath a football as you observe it seem to drift, then we'd have the same effect with a hot air balloon. But Blue Marble says we don't, and calls me an idiot because I don't understand that they're tracking together to not have the effect Neil deGrasse Tyson says we do have. But you seem to constantly ask me about my claim that we should have this effect, or that I'm going to claim 15 degrees an hour on a turning Earth. None of these are my claims, idiot.
Sounds like Blue Marble's actually calling you an idiot too, Virus.
Blue Marble called me an idiot because I didn't understand how Earth and atmosphere move together as one reference frame. He didn't seem to understand Blue Marble, that is, that he's contradicting Blue Marble is contradicting Neil deGrasse Tyson, who claims there's two reference frames to see drift in a football. He says, Nathan, you're an idiot. Obviously, we're not going to see the balloon drift away. The atmosphere's moving with the balloon. Really, Blue Marble? So, the atmosphere's moving with the football, Neil deGrasse Tyson said drifted in a second reference frame, you complete clown. Big problem, especially when put to a fundy who comes here like in the last 2 days that we've seen. Because when I position this argument now, it's never going to be my claim about Coriolis that you need to attack and question me on. I'll just detail what Neil deGrasse Tyson says is the claim, Earth turning beneath a football, and what Blue Marble says is the claim, Earth not turning beneath hot air balloons. One reference frame from Blue Marble, two reference frames from Neil deGrasse Tyson, both globe believers. Only one will survive this argument, and I'm not going to suffer a single injury while you demolish one of them, Virus.
Rates do pendulums move because of Coriolis?
Oh, I'm not making that claim. Did you want to make that claim separate to this argument about how Neil deGrasse Tyson and Blue Marble are in contradicting positions to one another? Seems like a new argument that you want to bring up.
Claim. No, it's a globe claim.
Yeah, globe claims we have 15 degrees an hour.
The globe claim.
Yeah, I know the globe claims we have 15 degrees an hour deviation in a gyroscope and pendulum because it's claimed Earth turns beneath them.
Not in a pendulum, we don't. In a gyroscope, yes, but not a pendulum.
Sorry, it's claimed by Foucault himself.
No, 15 degrees is not.
Yo, fuckwit! Foucault himself, the namesake of that fucking quasi-experiment, is claimed to show 15 degrees an hour as Earth turned beneath a fucking pendulum. That is what is claimed by NDT and simultaneously denied by Blue Marble, who says we've only got one reference frame. So, Foucault, shit for brains.
You know their latitude.
Yo, shit for brains. You've just told me, no, Earth isn't claimed to turn underneath a fucking pendulum. Yeah, Foucault claimed that, shit for brains.
Yeah, do you know their...
Yeah! So you are fucking ignorant of this claim and don't know what the hell you're babbling about when it comes to Coriolis, but you've got the nerve to tell my audience I don't understand it? You've just told me Foucault is wrong. So it's also Foucault wrong then?
Foucault isn't wrong.
Well, you've just told me that Earth didn't turn underneath a pendulum at 15 degrees an hour, as is claimed by Neil deGrasse Tyson and Foucault, but also denied by Blue Marble Science, who says there's only one reference frame. No drift to see. What are you going to do about that, Virus?
You don't know their latitude base, huh?
Crickets.
You don't know that, do you?
Sorry, the latitude wouldn't make any difference when you're talking about Blue Marble Science example. He says there's no drift to see. He didn't say no drift to see at this particular latitude. He merely asserted Earth is not turning beneath the hot air balloon to have drift at a particular latitude, Virus. Do you follow? No drift according to Blue Marble Science. So it doesn't matter what latitude. If you believe Blue, there's no drift ever. Earth doesn't turn beneath this stuff, Virus, according to Blue Marble Science.
Your squirming is funny.
My squirming? You think I'm squirming? I've finally figured a way of positioning a Coriolis argument where I am not culpable for any claim made. But yet I do get to simultaneously highlight that the globe-believing dicks who claim we're on a spinning Earth flying through a vacuum have got a contrasting position that makes no sense. One of you fuckwits, that would be Blue Marble Science, says Earth does not turn beneath stuff. Simultaneously, you've got a claim that Earth turns beneath to give you Coriolis drift. Well, that's a massive problem for you, and you think I'm squirming? Nah, project that shit straight onto me, my friend. Au contraire.
You don't know when a deviation would appear to go east.
Oh, you don't know. Ad hom. Make it seem like I don't know what Coriolis effect is.
So do you?
What, the not actual deflection observed from a non-inertial rotating reference frame in an inertial reference frame as an item travelling straight seems to take a curved path because you're turning beneath it? Yeah, I definitely know what Coriolis effect is. I definitely know that that requires 2 reference frame. And I definitely know that Neil deGrasse Tyson claims there is 2 reference frames on a turning Earth, as Earth turned, or is claimed to turn, beneath a football. And when we point out that that would affect a hot air balloon because Earth would be turning beneath it, exampled by a roundabout, release a balloon and throw a ball. You turn beneath both of them when they leave the roundabout. Therefore, you turn beneath both of them on a turning Earth. But Blue Marble says no. No to Neil deGrasse Tyson. No to Coriolis effect. Says Blue Marble Science. He says no drift, Earth not turning under hot air balloon. Comprende?
I understand that you don't understand either.
Yeah, just keep telling my audience that I don't understand, you fucking cunt.
This is funny.
This tactic
Can you
is
answer
so
my
sad,
question,
Virus. Like, this is pathetic, man.
Yeah, what a shame.
It's
What a
so
shame.
funny.
He obviously understands.
Yeah, I do
He knows
obviously
that dummy
understand. I
stuff.
can detail it concisely, even under pressure, with a debating dick that just keeps ad-homming me, telling me I don't understand. And I will explain this contradiction. Oh, okay then. I'll explain it with a question. Well, that's not an explanation. But if you let me do it because you're not letting me, I'll tell you that you don't understand their explanation and you don't understand Coriolis. That's my explanation. No, you're just a complete wanker.
You can't answer none of my questions.
Yeah, now it's back to that. Back to you can't answer any of my questions. Right? Yeah, I can. There's no questions being asked. My question is in regards to the contradiction between Blue Marble Science, with his single reference frame, no drift to observe, Earth not turning beneath a hot air balloon, and Neil deGrasse Tyson's assertion that there is 2 reference frames, Earth turning beneath a bloody football. I do understand. There's no question, just a contradiction from your own side. And no matter which way you go, you will have to either attack Blue Marble for his crazy assertion that we'd have no observable effect with Earth and bonded gas that's actually unbonded moving together, and Neil deGrasse Tyson's assertion that Earth turned beneath a football, but we wouldn't notice it in a blimp. Right? Blue Marble says we won't notice it in the balloon filming the game, but Neil deGrasse Tyson says we'll see it in the ball. Obviously, a contrasting position you can't explain and can only come back at me by telling me I don't understand. Coward.
Yeah, there's a third position I could take too.
Oh, really? Well, that's not going to help Neil deGrasse Tyson and Blue Marble with their 2 positions. Maybe introduce a third to add some confusion. No thanks.
You want to know what that is?
No.
He said I got a third position.
What, I can throw in a red herring for good measure? No, thank you. Just explain why Neil deGrasse Tyson says Earth turns beneath a ball, and Blue Marble says we don't.
I'm sorry, Doctor came in.
Yep, you're perfectly content to rumpus the shit out of me while I'm making my example you don't want to listen to. But the second it's concisely put to you about the contrasting position with 2 reference frames NDT, 1 reference frame Blue Marble, suddenly, oh, the doctor's in now, I can't answer you. Well, happy convincing, convenient coincidence there. Yeah.
I don't think it's something that you want to hear.
It's about time he goes anyway. It's getting nerve-wracking here. He's denying Earth rotation based on the way he wants to debate you, Nathan, which means the Earth is not rotating, and he loses right there.
But then simultaneously claiming it by trying to ask, well, what direction is the deviation? Well, what deviation? The one that we do see or the one that we don't?
Well, it's the same as we do have a geometric horizon, but we've never seen it.
Right.
It seems like every time the globe proponents are asked for evidence for their claims, it's non-existent.
Since CC and a doctor, is there another glober who wants to either defend Blue Marble or Smoke in the Grass? Anybody else?
I'm glad you caught on that he had a third position for this.
yeah, none of these positions work, but I got this third one.
Hey, you want to know what my third position is?
No, you stupid
Not really.
fucktard.
We don't.
What part of we want you to explain how Neil deGrasse Tyson has 2 reference frames and Earth turning beneath shit, and Blue Marble has 1 reference frame, Earth not turning beneath shit? What part of that don't you get? You think you translate that through your fucktard brain into I'd like a third example to confuse things from a fucktard who doesn't understand Coriolis? No thanks.
I'm not.
What, a fucktard? Yes, you absolutely are.
Definitely are.
I'm not asking for a third option. I'm telling you what my position is, which is neither what you just said.
Oh, so a third position, contrasting the 2 reference frames NDT, 1 reference frame from Blue Marble. You aren't giving us third position, you're just giving us a different position that isn't one of the first 2. Therefore a third. Twat? Twat much? Twat?
And he's math guy, right?
Hello? Twat?
I can check.
Yeah, you are a twat.
Well,
Twat. You are a twat. You are what is known as a twat. Twat? Do you understand what a twat is? That's you. A twat. Somebody's just said, I'm not agreeing with position number 1, Blue Marble, 1 reference frame, or position number 2, 2 reference frames, Earth turning beneath as per the actual official globe claim from NDT. I want to give you my position, that's the third position, but it's not a third position. Yeah, twat.
Yeah, there is. And you don't even know it.
Yeah, you stuttering twat.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, you stuttering twat.
Yeah, you're being a cunt.
Yeah, you are a stuttering twat who's about to give us a third position. You're not going to acknowledge that we've told you, no thank you. No, we'd prefer you address the contrasting positions from your own side that leaves you no option to attack me. But you don't want to do that, you'd rather make up a new option, wouldn't you, twat? And then say it's not a third position, twat.
Your knowledge.
Twat. We don't want your third position, twat. What part of that isn't clear, twat?
Your knowledge.
What part of no thank you don't you understand, twat?
Your
It's not
knowledge is
really a
wrong.
third position. It's just an additional 1 to the first 2.
Yeah. Yeah, basic arithmetic, not your strong point. Coriolis, definitely in excess of your meagre intellect. We don't need to hear anything from you anymore, Virus. Thank you very much. Please step away from the conversation.
How is he going to say that you don't understand Coriolis when you explained it? He had nothing to say about it. He just was quiet.
He can't answer my questions. I asked simple questions about Coriolis that he can't.
No, you fucking didn't. Now I'm going to kick you out for lying. You told me I didn't understand. You didn't explain anything, you lying twat.
3 questions.
You didn't explain anything. You tried to get a new question. You're now trying to get a third position you say isn't a third position. When you say you'll give an explanation, you just tell my audience I don't understand Coriolis, in spite of the 3 renditions of what Coriolis is. You're a twat.
Yeah, I gave you 3 easy questions about Coriolis to answer.
Like I give a fuck. I'm not claiming it. Why are you quizzing me on Coriolis? Blue Marble's got a claim of Coriolis where there's no drift. NDT's got a Coriolis claim where there's drift. Why the hell does that involve me being quizzed about it?
You gotta understand something if you want to debunk it.
Really? Well, I understand the contradiction between 2 reference frames and 1 reference frames, and I'm asking you to explain that. You just want to give us a third position that isn't a third position. Pathetic.
Yeah, the third
You should take
position
your
if you
own
don't
advice, Virus.
He just projected. Chocolate.
Again, yep.
Akuma seems to overlook that the contradiction is the debunking.
If he understood Coriolis, he would know it's not a
do you
contradiction.
realize Earth? You got to have Earth spin before you claim Coriolis.
No, duh, Tenth. Stop being dumb.
Oh, right, well, prove R. Okay, prove radius. To claim Coriolis with an Earth turn, you need a radian value.
Damn, Tenth.
Where'd you get it? You just said to 10th man, yeah, duh. Give me R for radians for this rotational rate.
35.
Yeah, you stuttering twat. Yeah, you want to talk down to 10th man? You stuttering twat. So you haven't got an R value for the rotational value. You think stuttering around the radius number's going to help you? Yeah, you're going to need an R for this rotational value, and you haven't got one anymore. Yeah, you think, oh, 10th man's going to win you any respect from me? No, I will call you a stupid twat when you haven't got an R value, Virus.
I do. What do you mean I don't?
Where'd you get R for the rotational value in radians?
Polaris.
Tell me more.
You already know. You watched my video. You commented on my video.
Your video in the daylight?
Explain
So,
the whole
sorry,
technique of how you do
sorry.
it.
I'm trying to gain clarity. You said I've seen your video and commented on it. You said a video with Polaris. I'm going to ask you a very specific question. Your video that was taken in the daylight, correct?
The video that explained.
Sorry,
how
explained?
Was during the
Explained?
day.
You standing in the daylight talking about Polaris?
Let me finish.
What? Explaining something that you didn't demonstrate in any way, shape or form, and when visually not demonstrating it last time and explaining it verbally, we gave you objections about how you get 90 degrees to Polaris. And you haven't addressed any of those. You just detailed it on your own shit channel in the daytime without any stars at all.
You do know that my video.
Sorry, maybe get right up on the mic. Maybe that'll help you win this shit point.
I'm trying to talk to you. Okay.
Suck on my balls, Virus. You made a video explaining what you'd already detailed to us verbally and we ripped to pieces. You think that because you made a fucking video about it that absolutely nobody watched, that makes your explanation for Polaris being talked about in the daytime when it's not even visible? You think that's going to help you? No, mate. Your explanation in the daytime didn't help you. You're never getting 90 degrees to Polaris, especially not in the daytime.
You didn't even watch the video.
I watched the video and commented on it. You've just pointed that out, but now you're telling me I haven't watched the video. What's that word again? Twat!
You just told me.
Twat! I watched your video. It took place in the daytime and verbally described what you'd already detailed to me, personally. And I'd ripped a new asshole already for a live audience. So what, because you verbalised it without any challenge in a little echo chamber, suddenly it makes your explanation correct?
You didn't even hear me.
Make me mutter away from the microphone. Maybe mutter over here so I don't hear how shit your rebuttal is. While you mutter and murmur at me.
Nathan, you said I needed a...
Say my name, bitch! Your daytime explanation that you'd already given me didn't make it provable, didn't make it demonstratable, and didn't show you 90 degrees to Polaris. So, twat, no.
No, you didn't.
No, your video didn't prove a damn thing beyond what you'd already tried to explain verbally before. Just showed your ugly face, in the daytime, without any stars present, to prove that you can measure 90 degrees to Polaris.
In the daytime.
I just told you I ain't need a 90, bro, so peace out.
So your example started with an assumption that if you move away from Polaris, you're moving around a curved surface away from Polaris. So you beg the question of a curved surface while moving away from Polaris. That is your example. Do you not think I already know your example? I heard it when you detailed it to me, personally. Now you're saying I've made a video about it. Because in some fucking crackhead world, making a video in an echo chamber where nobody can actually respond to you verbally in the moment makes your point correct.
No, you just...
No, it doesn't. That's right. It doesn't make your point valid. I already ripped it a new one for you personally.
You describing it...
Sorry, stating it in an echo chamber doesn't change that I ripped it to shreds when you put it to me personally. Hello?
Yeah, well...
That makes you a twat. You think that by videography, it makes your point valid?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. That's right.
Still didn't get it right.
Virus, how'd you get 90 degrees with a curved surface?
Oh, come on, 10.
Why do I need 90? I don't need a 90.
Virus, how'd you get 90 degrees on the curved surface?
Are
I
you
don't need a
seriously
90.
expecting a rational answer?
Yeah.
I'm expecting him to fall apart. How'd you get 90 degrees
He's already
on a
falling
curved
apart.
surface?
That was like an hour ago.
Oh my God. 10th, I don't need a 90. Quit asking me.
You just said you got a 90.
Isn't that the whole
I did not say that. I just said I don't
degrees to
need a
Polaris.
90. Oh my fucking God.
For what? What are you making an example
Did
of?
you get a
Hold on,
90 degrees,
okay.
or
You
did
don't need a
not get
90.
90 degrees?
You don't need a 90. Okay. How'd you get R then?
Yeah, I don't need a 90.
Yeah, we heard that. Now you're going to tell me how you got R. This started with you saying I got R from this. Twat. Go ahead.
Polaris. That's how I got R.
Yeah, we heard that. Now you need to explain how.
Okay. Get a theodolite, aim it at Polaris, and zero it out.
Sorry, zero it out?
Now,
What do you mean zero it out?
Move north.
Sorry, zero it
Move
out?
north.
Sorry,
Are you-
zero it out. What do you mean?
you're not-
I'm asking you a
I'm
question.
sorry.
What does zero it out mean? What do you mean?
You can look at Polaris and you can set 0 degrees on Polaris. That's what that means. You can zero it out where you want it to be. So you can look at Polaris and zero it on Polaris.
Yeah, and what are you physically
You
doing?
get what I mean?
No, I'm asking you what you physically do.
You look on the theodolite and you zero your theodolite on Polaris at 0 degrees.
And what is that physically entailing? What are you physically doing with the theodolite?
Aiming at Polaris.
I've got
and
that.
Zeroing it.
Yeah, I heard that.
What is it that you're asking?
I'm asking what you physically do. You've got a theodolite in your hand, and you've said you look at Polaris and you zero it out on Polaris. Tell me what you physically do on the theodolite to achieve what you have described. Go.
You aim at Polaris.
Got that bit already?
There's a button that you can put. There is a button that you push. When you push that button, it zeroes it out on that point that you zeroed out. At whatever level you have it, when you push that button, it zeroes it.
Push a button on the theodolite and it says 0 when pointing at Polaris. Okie dokie.
Yes. This
So
is
where
the
does-
reason why, like, you have to zero it out before you take off in a plane. If you don't zero out before you take off in a plane, you won't get a correct, horizon dip or whatever.
Sorry, Horizon?
Was somebody saying something?
Horizon? What?
Was somebody saying something?
Yeah, I'm
No.
asking you what
Was
you're talking
somebody
about.
saying something?
Horizon? What's the horizon got to do with this? So far, I've got you pointing at Polaris and
No, it
zeroing
doesn't.
out your
I was
theodolite.
giving an example. I was giving an example of why you zero it out. That's all. Okay, so after you zero it out, you start going north or south, and you would notice Polaris will start to dip. It'll start to either go up or down depending on if you go north or south. And with that, you can figure out the circumference.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What? We're moving and it's dropping. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, where do you transition from that to circumference?
The amount of miles that you move back.
Sorry, can you
compared
speak
to
nice
the
and
speed
clearly
it drops.
into your microphone, please, so we can hear specifically how
hold
you
on,
go
let me-
from
let me-
moving
let me take
backwards
the
or
mic off.
forwards.
Hold on.
Don't rumpus me, please. We're trying to establish why, when walking backwards or forwards from Polaris, something you will never ever do, why you assume you're measuring a circumference, a circular value suddenly. Why did you do that?
As I'm trying to find a radius. You only find a radius to a sphere or a circle.
So you're going to assume that you are measuring a sphere or a circle then. So because you already assume you're measuring a circle, you're going to assume you're measuring a circle. That's circular logic.
Not.
Yes, that's what you've just told me.
You need to find a radius is the person that is responsible for that, not me.
Yes, you've just told me you're assuming a radius. You're going to be assuming that you've got a spherical surface to measure.
Not just say that.
So you've just assumed a radius value is capable of being measured, so you are assuming you're on a spherical surface then. So this is merely a presupposition then.
The person that asked me to find a radius is the person that's responsible for that, not the person answering the question.
Sorry, you detailed going from Polaris, moving backwards, and then at some stage you just decided arbitrarily that you're measuring a curved surface. But you're saying that's my fault because I asked you where you got your radius value from. Well, where you got your radius value from was an assumption that you were on a curved surface when you were looking at a star. That's where you got it from.
Can I say something first? Maybe.
Well, maybe if you didn't interrupt every fucking word I said before you asked that question, I might actually tolerate it. But given that you didn't listen to a fucking word I just said, why would I care what you've got to ask me? You haven't listened to me.
Because it's addressing what you just said.
You've just told me that it's my fault because I asked you where you got your radius value, that when you assumed that looking at a star whilst travelling in a particular direction, you're going to assume a curved surface beneath your feet, that somehow that's my fault. No, that's merely your presuppositional statement. And there you are again, talking straight through me. Cunt, wanker, twat, asshole. Why are you talking straight through me? Why are you doing that?
You're talking to me.
Oh, I see. It's actually me talking straight through. I start explaining the problem of you presupposing a spherical surface, and I see your light flashing while I'm detailing that. That's me interrupting you, is it, cunt?
Because I was...
Yo! Shut up!
That is totally your
Shut
fault.
the fuck up! You have
okay,
assumed a
don't wanna-
spherical... You can't shut up, basically, can you? Yeah, you've made an assumption that there's a spherical surface when you're moving away from this star, and you blamed it on me. This doesn't give you R. It's a begging the question fallacy, circular reasoning. Just because you assume moving away from a star means you're moving away on a curved surface doesn't make it so. It's a begging the question fallacy. This doesn't give you R. You're wrong. So, when you laughed at 10th Man, because you said that you would require an R value to give you your radius value, to give you your radian value, to give you your spin value, you'd first need to prove that you were on a sphere that's spinning. And you laughed at 10th Man. Now, when I pointed out that you'd need R for your claim that you laughed at him for being asked over, you told me you could get it from Polaris, but you can't. You just have to assume that you're moving away on a curved surface. That's pathetic. You haven't got R from that virus. Assuming that you're moving away from a light on a curved surface doesn't give you R. That assumes your outcome. You're a stupid idiot.
He can't even do it because he said he's measuring the angle, and you can't measure an angle without two straight lines to get a corner or vertex. So if he's moving away from Polaris, if he's right under it, it's 90 degrees right above him. As he moves away, he's going to need that baseline 0 to see the angle. So if he moves away 1 degree, 89, 2 degrees, 88. It's an angle measurement that the theodolite and the sextant do, and you need two straight lines for angles, and you say you're getting it from a curved surface.
I don't need a 90.
Doesn't work on the curved surface to get an angle. Do you understand how to get angles? You can't get an angle from a curved surface, Virus.
He was quite content to chant, I don't need a 90 through every statement that you just made. Moment you make your point, total silence. You're only willing to talk if he's chanting through you.
Tactics.
Yeah, it's game over. The assertion that we spin is debunked.
Virus, your goose is cooked, Virus.
The assertion that we spin is
Your
debunked.
goose is cooked.
The assertion that we spin is debunked. The claim that we spin comes with two reference frames, Earth turning beneath stuff. And if we turn beneath footballs, we'd turn beneath hot air balloons. And we'd notice. The rebuttal from people like Blue Marble to assert that we don't turn underneath hot air balloons flies in the face of a claim that we do. And the claim that we do is the globe claim. Neither are mine.
So that would be a contradiction on their part.
Yeah. A little bit.
Chocolate, I think you're right. They got to get together and they got to get it situated. Which one is it going to be?
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you, Virus needs to set up a debate with Blue Marble and work it out.
They got a huge problem because they state from their side that the sun moves 15 degrees an hour. Yet they say it's because the Earth is rotating to cause that degrees an hour measurement. So how could they say the Earth is not moving 15 degrees an hour if they're saying it's because the Earth is moving that we see the sun moving at 15 degrees an hour? If he wants to go to latitude, I think he's got a bigger problem. Because if you do
but if he but that's his problem, right? By going to latitude, he's asserting that there is deviation, which means he's going against Blue Marble. That's what I'm saying. He's got to set it up with Blue Marble, work that out.
Don't you need a radius for any of this?
Yes, we do. And it was talked down to when 10th pointed that out. You need to prove your spinning first. You'll need an R value for that. Not getting it from Polaris, moving back and assuming you're on a curved surface when the claim of measured angles can't be done on a curved surface. Merely an assumption. No R from that. We've debunked R.
You know what I predict would happen if NDT and the other guy would go up against one another in a debate? They'd probably end up agreeing with one another. Even though they couldn't, they shouldn't be able to, but they agree on one another, and then when it's over, they'd both blog how the other side was actually wrong.
Good one, Arwood. That's right.
Nathan, can we play the Neil deGrasse for anybody? Maybe people didn't hear it.
I haven't got it. Have you got it? I can if you've got it.
Posted it War Room.
It's in the War Room.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it right at the bottom? Yeah.
I posted it a little while ago, so it should be somewhere right there.
Here we go. Why research? Is that the one? Neil deGrasse Tyson explains Coriolis.
Yeah.
Why did you talk about my other football tweet?
What other
about
football
was
tweet?
it the Bengals? I forgot who it was, about a year ago.
Yeah.
There's in overtime, after there was the exchange of balls, so now it's sudden death overtime. They kick a field goal from 50 yards, of course, as it must be, and 40 yards out plus the 10 plus the hiking distance. So it was like 52-yard field goal, and there it was. And if there's tense, right? Everybody's silent, and the ball comes up, and it careens off the left upright and goes in for the win.
Wow.
And I said,
I remember this.
That's what I'm saying.
I remember this
That's
tweet.
what I'm saying. So I'm there and I said, wait, the angle of this, how long is it? So I checked the stadium on its configuration, what's longitude and latitude, and I said, I did a quick calculation, and I tweeted, the winning field goal in that game was aided by a 1/3 of an inch deflection to the right from Earth's rotation.
Uh-oh.
Oh God!
I love the lullaby music in the back, right?
Yeah, that's
like, here's your little bedtime story, people.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, meanwhile, Blue Marble Science says Earth doesn't exhibit any deflection. Earth and atmosphere move together, no deflection to be observed. So he's completely contrasting the position that Neil deGrasse Tyson takes, where he says, Earth turned underneath the football. That's why we had the deflection. That's Coriolis effect detailed by Neil deGrasse Tyson. 2 reference frames, Earth turning beneath the football. Very simple stuff. Blue Marble says, Earth doesn't turn beneath hot air balloons, there's no deflection to see, and even have the nerve to call me an idiot for not understanding how it's claimed that Earth doesn't turn underneath stuff. Only 1 reference frame, all moving together in spite of the fact that gas is unbonded, so cannot move along with a turning Earth. Blue Marble Science is a complete idiot, and completely incorrect in terms of the globe assertion. The globe assertion is Earth turns underneath a football, but if it did turn underneath a football, it would also turn underneath a hot air balloon, and an aeroplane, and a drone. And you, if you jumped up and down, you would be in the inertial reference frame, and everyone watching you would watch you seem to drift away. Nobody ever experiences that. There is no Coriolis deflection on Earth that's turning because we're not turning. And when we point that out, that's why Blue Marble Science says, you idiot, it's all turning together. No drift.
Right. Oh, can I address Neil
I hope
deGrasse
Virus
Tyson
was
for a
listening
second?
to that, mister. I have never heard that from your high priest. Hope you were listening, buddy.
You know what is funny about Neil deGrasse Tyson's statement, though? He literally mentions how he whips out his calculator, right, in calculating the Coriolis deviation of the football. Well, the funny thing is that by doing that, almost he suggests that he's going at it in a what-if scenario. Like, if Earth was spinning underneath and there was Coriolis effect, then the ball arriving in the goal the way it does would have been affected by Coriolis effect in order to arrive there, because Coriolis deviation applies to all things, right? So it's almost like he's just virtually calculating the football hitting in a world of Coriolis.
Yes, and affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. If the Earth is rotating, we will observe Coriolis deflection in a ball as the Earth rotates beneath it. We do observe a ball deflecting, therefore Earth is experiencing Coriolis effect, because it's turning. If P, Earth-based Coriolis, then Q, ball deflection. Q, ball deflection, therefore P, Earth-based Coriolis. It's just an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy that Neil deGrasse Tyson's put together.
That's what it eventually became. Yes, and that's very shameful. He should have been a bit more sneaky and just say it the way that I described, just purely as an what if calculation, and then sneak that through, right? It would have been more correct. Now,
maybe
blatantly fallacious.
Well, maybe, but all he's got to do is stick in line with the rhetoric. When you're affirming the consequent and you have a begging the question fallacy you automatically assume to be true, as far as you're concerned, it's good logic. Well, if the Earth is turning, I'll see the ball deflect. I did see the ball deflect. That must mean the Earth's turning. So I know the ball just curved through the goal. Had absolutely nothing to do with Earth turning beneath it, because if it was, it'd be turning beneath the blimp filming the game and the flight back home for the opposing team, and they'd have their flight time shortened, and hot air balloons would have other continents coming towards them as Earth turned beneath them like you claim it did under the ball. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and becoming a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!